All right, I'm going to have a childish debate because apparently, if I say that Daniel Dubois quit when he was ahead on the judges' scorecards, nobody seems to be able to wrap their mind around that. Apparently, I'm making excuses for Daniel, right? I'm making excuses and I'm waiting to hear what those excuses are. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to wait. I've heard all manner of weird arguments that I never made because all I said was Daniel quit when he was ahead. Am I wrong? Am I lying? Am I off base? So let's have a childish debate. And one at a time. And I'm going to bring on everybody that's on Twitter right now making these straw man arguments based on arguments I never made, one at a time. Nathan was good. Toro was good. JD was good. Yeah, but UK, you see what they doing on. I'm like, yo, dog. All I said was the kid quit when he was ahead on two of the judges' scorecards. That means that when he quit, he was winning the fight. That's all that means. It's not complex. It's not complicated. It's not an anecdote. If two of the three judges had him up at the time that he quit, that means he quit when he was winning the fight. So now let's hear it. I'm going to wait, and we're going to do this one at a time because I want Mark to tell me, when did I say Daniel Dubois knew he was winning the fight, or he knew that I never said none of that, dog. I think it's childish, JD. I think it's childish because I'm trying to understand how this is lost on these particular individuals. I'm trying, like, how are you not seeing the point that I'm making? That, okay, you quit in a fight where you was ahead on the cards. It's not complicated. It's not an anecdote. The kid was up. So I'm like, all right, what part of that is the part that's not being understood? I gotta, let's do it. All right, now let's start with Mark. Because Mark said, how would Daniel Dubois know that he was up on the cards, or how did he know? Let's start with Mark. He probably did, crazy. I don't dismiss that. I actually address that. I don't rule that out, crazy D3, because whenever you see a lopsided card, that's probably what's going on. Because I didn't have it lopsided for Joe. Somebody did. Okay, Mark. To your point that you made on Twitter, how will Daniel Dubois know that he's up or down on the cards? When did
you never said it. Here's another one though. When did I say that you made excuses?
Well, that's clearly in reference to Lennox. You're fully aware that I'm talking to more than one person on Twitter, right?
Okay, cool.
Now, to your point that you made, because I addressed you specifically based on the point that you made. You made a point. How would Daniel know whether he was up or down on the cards?
Yeah.
The first question I have is, when did I say he knew he was up or down on the cards?
You didn't, but this is going to be fun for me.
Okay, that's great. So I didn't actually say that he knew he was up or down on the cards, right?
No, you didn't.
Okay, is it a matter of fact that he was up on the cards, though?
Yes, he was up on the cards. Correct.
And is it a matter of fact that he quit?
Yeah, I'd say he quit. Yeah.
So what's the point of contention there?
Well, your statement is that. What was your original? How's he going to feel?
I asked a question. I didn't make a statement. I asked a question. If you quit in a fight where you're ahead on the cards, how are you going to deal with the situation when you are not ahead of the cards on the cards?
Yeah. So how are you going to deal with the situation if you're not ahead on the cards, right? How are you going to not How are you going to deal with that situation? How are you going to know? That's what I'm asking.
Okay, fair
Because
enough.
that's the assumption of that point, isn't it?
Not
That you would
necessarily,
know.
because if I highlight the cards, if I'm bringing up the cards, I'm bringing up the fact that this is a fight where the individual is winning, right? I mean, that's the point that I'm making. I didn't realize that I had to further elaborate that much on that point, that the kid quit in a fight that he was winning. So if he's confronted with a fight where he's losing, what's he going to do? I didn't think that that point was all that elusive.
Well, I mean, it's literally just a wording, I guess, where people are genuinely confused. Because when you're equating a person in a circumstance, how are they to know that they're in that circumstance? So how are they going to feel? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about their feelings in that point. How's he going to feel when he is down? How's he going to know he is down? How's he going to know he is winning?
Well,
He was getting
here's
his
the
eye
thing.
was getting broken up, obviously, so he felt some kind of way that forced him to quit. So in his mind, he could have felt he was down anyway.
But that's the point, isn't it? If this is how you felt when you were up, whether you're aware of it or not, you're up, right? I mean, that's a fact, isn't it? Isn't it a fact that he was up?
Yes.
And didn't he feel so inclined to quit even though he was up?
Well, okay, sure, yeah. He felt
And
inclined to
that
quit.
now, and what's the point that I'm making? If this is how you react in a situation where you're up, what are you going to do when you're down? Whether you're
I
aware of it or not. If this level of adversity, and I'm not, bear in mind, I'm not actually chastising Daniel for what it's worth. I actually think he did do the right thing, but that's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is if this adversity was too much for you when you were up and you're winning, I didn't say you knew you were winning. It's just that you are winning. That's not my opinion. That's reality. That's a fact. He's winning.
okay, okay.
If this is how you react when you're winning, what do you do when you're losing?
I can honestly not answer that because the only thing I know is that he quit because of the eye and it had nothing to do with the scorecards.
The score. Well, I mean, I didn't say that. Like I don't like. How is this?
When he's in the ring, he won't know.
All right. What do they use to determine the outcome of a fight? What do they use? If nobody gets
Well,
knocked out, what do they use? If nobody
well,
gets knocked out and nobody quits, right? What do
yes,
they use to determine the outcome of a match?
a scorecard
And what did the scorecards indicate?
that Dubois was winning.
And what point did I make?
That if he's up on the scorecards or down on the scorecards, whichever one from either thing, if he's up now, if he's down in the next fight or whatever, will he quit? It depends, really. I can answer that. It will depend. Has he taken as much damage? The most important thing to actually look at is the damage, not the scorecards. They're not really prevalent in the factor of him quitting. The prevalence in the factor of him quitting is adversity in terms of pain, not scorecards. That's my whole argument.
And my whole argument is that the prevalence of the scorecard, the reason that's even mentioned is because it highlights at what point in the fight we were in and who's en route to doing what. But you quit when you were winning. Now, I didn't know that I have to be that literal. I forget that this is boxing. This isn't like other sports where you can just say something and people know what you mean. You have to be literal. Well, the scorecard shows he was winning the fight. And he quit in a fight where he was winning. Does everybody now understand why I brought up the scorecard? Because I didn't realize that that was so confusing. I'm bringing up the scorecard because of what I said before. The kid
It still doesn't make sense. And also deriving the term literal when you're using points of reference to how literal other people have to be themselves when they respond to you. They can't use anecdotes, but you can because
And what's the
point
anecdote? Okay, what's the anecdote that I'm using?
the point of anecdote is that it's not a proven prevalence that he'll quit if he's up or down on a scorecard.
I didn't say that he's going to quit if he's up or down.
No, it's an anecdote. It's an
I
assumption.
said, Mark, I said he quit in a fight where he was up on the scorecard. Is that an anecdote?
No. But how will he feel as anecdotal?
Now. I didn't tell you how he would feel. I asked once again. I asked how he will feel, but that's besides the point because
people responded to it.
The issue that everybody seems to be having with what I said is that what I'm using the scorecard to say that he was winning. He wasn't winning.
I mean, that's up to the judges. I don't think he was winning.
But do you determine the outcome of the fight?
Did I say I do? I said it's up to the
No,
judges.
I didn't say you did. I asked you. That's a yes or no question. Do
I
you
mean,
determine the outcome of the fight?
Joyce's job determined the outcome of the fight.
That's amazing. That was a great one-liner. But whose scorecards determine the outcome of a fight? Mine or the judges?
Did I already answer that? You're trying to beat the same point residually.
Actually, you didn't, because it seems to me that this whole argument is about semantics, because I said, okay, the kid was up on the cards, so he's winning the fight. And I guess people have a problem with me saying he was winning the fight?
Not really, no. I think you think other people have a problem with that. You think.
And what's the point of contention here? Because this all started by me saying he quit when he was up on the cards and he was winning the fight. That's
which he did do. Which he did do. People are arguing the point of the possibility of if it's going to be related to the cards or not. That's all people are arguing with you. I don't think people see the correlation. People look at the damage. And thoroughly, at the end of the fight, what actually decided the outcome of the fight had nothing to do with the cards. It was completely decided.
So if I'm using
100%, no, it was decided. I haven't
finished.
finished. It was decided based on the damage he took, not on what the judges thought. They became null and void. Whether he's winning or losing, if he's in that type of adversity again, he's probably.
And once again, you're literally doing exactly what I said on Twitter. You're focusing on the outcome when I'm saying, yo, the kid quit. And when he quit, he was up on the cards. He was actually winning the fight when he quit. Is that statement off base?
No.
Then what is the point of contention here? That I shouldn't use the scorecard as a point of reference for who's winning the fight?
I didn't originally even say that. I only responded to you twice, to be fair.
I keep hearing about how I mentioned the scorecard. Well, how else would I have known that he was winning the fight when he quit?
He may have been winning the fight when he quit. How does that correlate to when he's losing? Is he in the same amount of damage when he's down on a scorecard? That's what I'm asking.
Well, that's kind of besides the point, because that's not the discussion. The discussion was, I said this kid quit when he was up on the cards. Apparently, I shouldn't use the scorecards to say that he was winning. So what should I have used? He wasn't winning the fight?
I'm not arguing if he was winning the fight or not with you. I'm arguing, literally. I want you to listen, right? And keep it very close to your ear so you'll understand. I'm arguing one little thing. Will he be in the same amount of damage or not to know if he'll quit? I don't think him quitting, if he hadn't have been blind in that eye, I don't think he quits.
And I think that that's a hypothetical question that doesn't address the point at hand, because the point at hand and the issue that everybody seems to have with what I said is that he was winning the fight when he quit.
Well, I'm telling you what my issue was. You're telling me your assumption on what my issue was.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't know what point you were trying to make by telling me that did he know he was winning. I never said he knew he was winning. I just said that when he quit, he was up on the cards. That's not a matter of fact.
And how would he be if he was down on the cards, which is a hypothetical scenario?
Yeah, but that's a question, not a statement.
So we would also need to factor in if it's in the same scenario or not. If he's completely 100% fine, and there's fighters who are losing fights and they're not taking much damage, and then fighters who take a lot of damage. I've seen Cal Brook take a lot of damage and be up on the scorecards and then quit.
But that's the point of the question that I'm posing, that if this is how you react in a fight where you're up on the cards, you're up, and you decided not to go on, it's probably a safe bet that if the adversity is worse and you're actually down on the cards, you're going to choose not to deal with it. That was the whole point of the question.
But it's based on the cards, not the adversity.
And what was the level of adversity? Joe was showing little more than just a jab. It was enough. That jab was enough to beat him into submission, but that level of adversity was enough for you to walk away.
The adversity is a fractured orbital bone and nerve damage. That's the adversity.
What fractured the orbital bone? What fractured? The jab. Isn't that what I just said?
Sure, but the adversity was the fractured orbital bone. So it's whether he's up or down. Look, he could be down the fight where somebody's not damaging him. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to quit. I can't answer that. But if he's in the same scenario again, I would believe he would quit.
Okay, I'm gonna let IBT in on this because he says I'm making a straw man argument. Okay, IBT, what's the straw man argument?
Okay, so the logical fallacy that you're committing is the straw man argument. Mark is not debating what you're saying, and you're attacking that argument. So you're talking about the
I'm
assumption.
not attacking.
And
Wait a minute. Wait
no,
a minute.
oh,
Before
oh,
you, wait a
okay,
minute. I have to know what argument is he making that I'm attacking because he asked me. He asked me, how would Daniel know that he's down on the cards? I never said that he did know. So how am I attacking him?
okay. So I think, and I don't want to speak for Mark. This is what I was talking about earlier. At least I'll speak for myself now. My point when we were on Twitter was I don't think that the cards are relevant in the situation. I think it's the actual damage he sustained in the bout, right? So if he's up on the card or if he's down on the cards and he has another eye injury like that, I can see him quitting. I can completely understand that, right? But if he isn't sustaining that damage and he is up on the cards or down on the cards, I don't see why he would quit. I think what's more important than what the cards officially said or unofficially said, I think it's forget the cards. It's the amount of damage he sustained, right? So that was my argument, and I think that's what Mark's argument is, and that's why I'm saying that the discussion about scorecards is irrelevant, and that's why I'm saying it's a fallacy.
But there is no discussion about scorecards aside from me stating a fact that when he quit, he was up. Is,
Yeah, I'm saying
is that
how.
a fact? Well, I let you talk.
I'll
I'll
wait.
let
I'll
you
wait.
talk. If I say that this kid quit when he's up on the cards, where's the lie?
There is no lie. I'm not saying that's a lie. I'm just saying that I think that the
All right, now
scorecards are irrelevant.
IBT, you do realize that that's what got the whole ball rolling, though, right? Because I said, yo, the kid quit when he was up on the cards.
Yeah, I'm saying that the cards are irrelevant. That's my premise.
And okay, well, I mean, maybe anecdotally to you, the cards are irrelevant, but it's relevant to my conversation because it accents how, okay, in a situation where you're actually up and it's a favorable situation, if you end up in an unfavorable situation, what are you likely to do? You're likely to quit. And it's the intestinal fortitude of Daniel Dubois that we're talking about. That if this is how you deal with this adversity in a situation that's favorable, if it's less favorable, what are you going to do? That was the whole point of it. If
Yeah.
this is what you do when you're up on the cards, what's going to happen to you if one day the adversity is worse and you're actually down on the cards?
Could I argue that you're saying unfavorable and favorable? He didn't know whether he was favored or unfavored in that
And once
situation.
again, why are you telling me what he did or didn't know when I didn't tell you that he knew he was down or up on the? I never said that.
I know. I'm not saying
What
you
does
did.
that?
I never made the claim that you did,
I'm trying to
Julius.
make the connection between you guys telling me that well he didn't know he was up or he did. Well, I never said that he did. It's just a matter of fact that he was. It is a matter of fact that he was. Am I off base?
No, I
No,
agree with you, but I'm saying that so this is my main point, right? Regardless of him knowing or not knowing or being up or not being up, I think if you're going to be looking for precedent, if you're going to be looking at this event of him quitting in the middle of the fight as precedent, I think what's more important than and this is my answer to your question about the scorecards. And I'm sorry it doesn't involve the scorecards, but I'm saying, regardless, if you want to look at the precedent of this situation moving forward, I think it's about the damage sustained, not about what he believes or doesn't believe, or what is reality or what isn't reality in terms of the scorecards. Does that make sense?
Not really, because it gets away from my initial point. My initial point was you quit in a fight where you were winning.
So my point is, I think that
Your
the
point.
winning and
Wait
not
a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is your point or Mark's that he wasn't winning?
it has nothing to do about him winning or not,
Then why are you debating what I'm saying when what I'm saying has to do with him quitting in a fight that he was winning?
because we're talking about how that point is irrelevant.
Why is that? And why is that? I don't even understand this. Why is
what's
that?
more relevant? Okay, I'll ask you a question, right? And this, why did Daniel Dubois quit?
Because his orbital bone was fractured.
Okay, there you go.
Does a fractured orbital bone always result in a fighter quitting?
Not always,
Then what's
but
your point
you,
about
but
telling
you,
me about it? Wait a minute now. Let's go with your argument. Your argument is he quit because of his fractured orbital bone, as if I don't know that his orbital bone is fractured. My point is I've seen fighters battle through that, right? So it's not
yeah.
simply your orbital bone that resulted in you quitting. It has to be your intestinal fortitude. Because I saw now, yeah, his orbital bone get fractured, but he carried on. I'm saying the fight is almost over. There's 2 rounds left. You're up on the cards. You decided not to go on. That's my point.
Well,
All factual. All factual. It's all
we can
factual.
talk we can talk severity on the injuries as well. Like now I knew I was still able to see out of his eye. He even said so. It was blurred. It was blurred. He was still able to see, but it was blurred. Daniel couldn't see at all out of his eye, completely blind. So one's more severe than the other. That's factual. But in terms of the argument, in terms of the argument that the scorecards being prevalent as to why he quit or if he will quit again based on if he's down on a scorecard, makes no difference to most people when they assess or look at fights. It's what actually happens within the ring and how much damage you are taking. If he's not taking damage, let's say he's in a Robert Easter Bartholomew fight or something like that, and he's only down 1 or 2 points, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to quit. He could still be equipped to win the fight and feel that he can. In that fight, he obviously didn't feel he could win because of the damage he took, not the judges.
And once again, you're going off about an argument that no one is making because my statements are matter-of-fact statements. He quit in a fight. He was winning. Now, how do I know he was winning? Because of the scorecards. It sounds a lot like your point is, oh, no, he wasn't winning. That's what I'm getting from it. When I'm saying the only reason I'm saying he was winning is because the judges had him winning.
He was winning on the judges' scorecards. He was losing in effective damage.
Yeah, so that was my point about...
Do you need proof of if he was losing on effective damage? Right now, out of one eye, he's got a fractured orbital bone and nerve damage.
So
that's really quick. Yeah, really quick. And to add on to that, that was what...
your point, so Mark, let's clarify. Wait, so Mark, your point... Let's clarify. Wait, I want to get to Mark's point. Wait. Your point is he wasn't winning the fight, right?
My point is he lost the fight on effective damage. He didn't win the fight.
We're not... All right, stop. You're making a straw man argument.
No, I'm making a factual argument.
I'm not
debating. It's actually a fact. You admitted it. It's a fact.
You know what a fact is? That when he quit, which is what I said, when he quit, he was up on the cards. You take issue with that because you don't think the cards are relevant to the conversation.
No, I don't. I don't take issue at all. I don't really take issue.
No, my question is, why would the cards not be relevant to the conversation of who's winning or who's losing the fight at the time of the stoppage when that's literally what you use to determine the decision?
Okay.
Because a card isn't the only thing that determines an outcome. The outcome of the fight, literally. Can anybody here tell me if the cards are relevant to the outcome of that fight at all? If they are. Because he lost via stop.
Well, if you wanted to know who's winning or losing the fight at the time of a stoppage, you're saying you don't use the cards.
Julius, so that's where I was saying you're committing a straw man fallacy or a logical fallacy is because you're thinking that we're talking about who's winning or not, right? I could have had Dubois up 10-0. It doesn't matter because it's what the judges score, right? And that's what you're saying, and I agree. Regardless of who we thought was winning, the people who actually matter and decide are the judges, right? So if we're able to use if we're able to use hindsight and see that the judges had him winning, how are we not also able to use hindsight and see that he lost the fight, right? Via damage sustained to the eyeball. So when you're hold up, I'm not done. Sorry, thank you. So when you're talking about how we have issue with the scorecards, I actually don't care what the scorecards say because I know factually that he lost via stoppage due to damage sustained to his eyeball and that he quit, right? To answer your original question, if he's taking it doesn't matter what the scorecards are as much as what physical damage he's taking. Do you get what we're saying? Like what Mark said, if he's down a couple points
let me interject because once again, and you are doing what I thought you were doing because you basically just told me that you're telling me about the outcome of the fight. We already know the outcome of the fight. Nobody is contesting. Nobody's worried about Daniel quitting. I'm saying he handled the situation this way. So if the situation in the future is less favorable, well, you're not up on the cards. Now you're down on the cards. Now you're in Povetkin territory, which I brought up in the video that I made. You're clearly losing the fight. It's not like the Joyce fight. You're not up on the cards. You're down. And you've been down. What are you going to do? That's a question, by the way, not a statement. Whereas your focus seems to be, well, the cards don't matter because he lost. We already know that he lost.
Okay, will he know he's down?
Did I say? I don't know why you keep returning to that same red herring argument.
Because if he's down on the scorecards, is he going to quit? Well, will he know that he's down? Will he feel that he's down? That's prevalent.
I don't I'm once again, you're dealing with anecdotes and things that are not a matter of fact. It's a matter of fact, which is what I said, When he quit, he was up on the cards. According to those 3 judges, he was winning.
Can
That's
I ask
my
you?
point.
Can I ask you a question for a future case scenario? Right, for a future case scenario, i.e., predicting the future, is it not all anecdotal?
Yeah, but that's why it was a question, not a statement.
So why can't
Do
we
I-
use
do I have
anecdotes to possibly answer your anecdotal question?
Because your anecdotal answers don't answer my anecdotal question. As I'm not dealing with anecdotes. If I say that the guy quit when he was winning, it seems to me that what you want to convince me of is that he wasn't winning when he quit.
No,
No.
I'm saying that he could be winning. He was officially winning. That's
He was
fine. I,
winning.
I, I accept that, right? My
Then
issue.
okay, then what exactly is the issue with me saying that the kid quit when he was winning? Because that's what got the ball rolling. Now, if you're talking about something else,
It's the
I don't see how
possibility of the future, though. It's the
I
possibility of
don't
the future point.
I don't see how that relates to the conversation that I was having with Ahmed and Lennox when the conversation that we was having was this kid was winning when he quit. That's literally all I said. He was winning when he quit. He was up on 3 judges' scorecards. What's the problem?
So how will he react in a future case if he's down? Is he in a similar scenario? That's all we're asking.
Well, we don't know that. But
Yeah, so we're asking you to provide context for your anecdotal question.
you want me to provide context for an anecdotal question when the basic crux of the argument is if you quit in a fight where you're winning, in all likelihood you'll quit in a fight where you're losing.
I feel like that statement lacks so much context. That's my problem with it, right? If he's winning a fight, but suddenly his arm is broken, yeah, I expect him to quit. But if he's winning a fight, or if he's losing a fight and it's just a couple points and he hasn't really sustained a lot of physical damage, I don't see why anything would point towards him quitting. I feel like what's more important than the cards in terms of looking for precedent, if you're going to look at precedent moving forward, it's more important to look at how much damage he actually sustained than what the judges feel in terms of who's winning or not. Do you get what I'm saying?
Not at all, because it sounds like you're having a completely separate conversation to what I'm saying. What I said was pretty clear cut and pretty simple.
I'm confused. I'm confused where you're confused. Can you clarify so I can help explain?
You're delving into the future, right? The speculative question, right? While that was the crux of the argument, that's open for discussion, that bit of it. But what everybody seems to have taken issue with is I said he quit in a fight where he was winning. And
I don't have issue with that though.
do you have an issue with that, Mark? He wasn't winning the fight.
Did I ever say he wasn't?
I'm asking you.
Officially, no.
All right, then. Then that should settle that, because that's all I said. The kid quit in a fight where he was winning.
That is a fact.
That's all I said.
Yeah, I agree. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to
That's
be
not all
looking,
you said. That's not factual.
that's not all you
What
said.
did I say? What did I say that was not factual? Please tell me.
No, you continued on from there.
Yeah,
What
you
did
said
I
more
say?
after that.
You
What
left
did
the
I
part
say?
there.
Well, all right, so tell me what I said that wasn't factual.
Well, you asked you asked the question.
Right, I asked the question. Is that barred from the conversation asking questions?
No. But
I used what happened yesterday to pose a potential issue for Daniel for the future. That's what I did, factually. I said, if this is what you do in a fight where you are factually, and both of you just agreed,
yeah,
if this is what you do when you're officially winning a fight, that's going to pose a big issue for you in the future. Because what if you're not officially winning a fight in the future? What if the circumstances are worse than what you faced in Joyce? It's not complicated.
yeah, I agree. But what I'm ascertaining is that regardless of if he is winning or losing in the future, what matters more than if he is winning or losing, if you're going to be looking at that fight moving forward, is if how much damage he's taking, right? So like we already said, if he's behind on points, but he hasn't sustained a lot of physical damage, he's still, he may be sweating, maybe bruised up, but he's hold up, please. I'm not done. If he's not actually taken any damage to, let's say, his eye or let's say his bones, right? If he doesn't feel like he's taking damage, why would he quit?
Well, I mean, you're acting like somebody barred more physical damage than what he just experienced. What did I say in the video I made? This guy lost to a jab. He lost to a jab that he couldn't defend himself against. That's what beat him, a jab. Right?
Yeah.
How he'll react.
Now let me. He suffered a fractured orbital bone due to a jab. So at what point did I bar a right hand, a right cross, an uppercut, a hook to the body? At what point did I bar combination? Like I'm basically saying, if this is what happened to you as a result of a jab in a fight where you're winning, what's going to happen to you in the future?
That
And you're telling me that I'm like, I don't know, is that question out of line or something?
No, it just I think it depends. It's lacking a little context.
And what's the context that's missing that you take issue with?
Okay, so as I've stated already, it lacks the context of what damage he's physically taken.
And did I rule out that he could be taking physical damage? I mean, didn't I bring up that, like, yo, you got beat by a jab?
But I'm not saying that you ruled it out, but you didn't explicitly state it, which I think in this case it should be stated.
So when I posted a screenshot of, there's an orbital bone fracture. When I posted that, I left out the context.
I'm saying that in your question you left out the context, not in the case of yesterday's fight. I think yesterday's fight, your stance on that's very clear.
So your issue is that I didn't ask a question and answer the question?
No, I don't think you asked the question with enough context, right? So I'm saying you're saying I think your question is perfect if you also mention that he has a broken orbital bone, or that he broke something, or that he's sprained something, or that his eyes are closed up, or that he's bleeding all over his face, right? But that question lacks the context in terms of it cannot be answered with yes or no, which is the way you want it to be answered. In the case of, will he quit again if he's down, or how will he react if he's down, right? My question to your question is he down and he's cut? Is he down and his eye isn't open? Is he down and he's perfectly fine? He's just sweating a little bit? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you can't use your question as precedent without the context of him suffering any physical damage.
Precedence for what? To ask a question?
No, I'm saying the precedence of yesterday's event moving forward for Daniel Dubois.
Right. You're saying that the precedence of yesterday's event to Daniel Dubois, him suffering a fractured orbital bone as a result of a jab, not right crosses, not right hands.
Yeah.
Joe didn't throw very many of those. He beat him
a
with
lot
a jab.
of a lot of jabs, to be fair.
He landed a lot of, but he beat him. So if I say he beat him with a jab, right? Is that accurate, or do I need to count how many jabs he threw?
No, it's not. It's not that you need to count or you need to say how many, or it wasn't that he jabbed him and that was it, right? It was he jabbed him and that his eye suffered a nerve damage and an orbital bone fracture, right? So that's where I go, oh, okay, well, he jabbed him a couple times and he gave up. That's kind of weird. And then you tell me, well, actually, his orbital bone got fractured and he has nerve damage and he couldn't see out of his eye and he was exhausted. And then I go, oh, okay. You see, that makes a lot more sense then, because if you say he just got jabbed, it's missing a lot of context. You get what I'm saying, like that, right? So let's say moving forward, he fights I don't know, fights whoever, right? He fights freaking Kaunaki, right? Kaunaki's lighting him up with left hooks and his orbital bone fractures. And you ask me, hey, you think he's going to quit? I'll go, well, last time he had an orbital bone fracture, he did quit, so he might, right? But if you just say, well, he's getting hit with a lot of left hooks and he's down, but he's still coming forward, he still looks strong, why would he quit?
Once again, it sounds like your issue is using yesterday's fight as a precedent to even ask questions. So should I not ask questions?
No, you can ask questions. All I'm saying is you have to add the context of the physical damage sustained.
I'm left asking, if the issue isn't me saying that he was winning at the time he was stopped, and I'm going to get Beats on here. Hopefully Beats can clarify what the issue is. If the issue isn't me saying, yo, the kid quit when he was winning the fight, and the issue isn't me asking a question, using yesterday's fight to ask questions moving forward, what exactly is the issue? Because it sounds like nitpicking. Like, well, you asked the question, but you didn't answer it.
The issue is not the fact that you said he was winning. It's the fact you said he quit. He was up on the cards when he doesn't know he's up on the cards.
But I never said he knew he was up on the cards. Does that change?
So how are the cards relevant?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. If I say that he quit at a time when he was up on the cards, which is tantamount to me saying that the referee stopped the fight at the time that Klitschko was up on the cards with Lennox, is that not a factual statement?
Sorry, it is factual, but Julius, what's also factual is he doesn't know if he is up or down on the scorecards, so that doesn't affect his decision to quit.
But I never. All right, now, this is important. This isn't. What's your name?
8 cents.
8 cents. Okay, now this is important. I never said that him being, that his knowledge of where he is in the fight and how the judges have it is going to affect his decision. I never said that. I said in a fight where you're winning, you quit. Is that not reality? Am I off base when I say that?
No, we've already agreed with you like 1,000 times on that. We're
Then
saying
once again, I don't see how using the scorecards as a point of reference to who was winning the fight should be a problem.
it's that we're asking to your question, right? We've already acknowledged that your question is based in fact. Now we want you to we want you to answer, right? Do you think him winning on the scorecards will affect his decision?
No, because that was never the point of anything I said. He can't.
Okay. I just asked the question. I didn't say anything about what you said.
Isn't I got a question. How
Yeah,
much
what's up?
common sense is actually being used here? Because I'm being asked some infantile. Does Daniel know? Well, I mean, is that's a common sense question? Obviously, he doesn't. Obviously,
Okay. So in the scenario that
Can I say
Daniel,
something?
in the scenario that Daniel is down on the scorecard, right? Is he going to quit?
hold on. You're asking me in a scenario where he's down on the scorecard. I don't know. I think there's a precedence to ask that question because he just quit in a fight where he was up on the scorecards. So I think it kind of makes sense to ask that question. Well, what if you?
Why don't you know fully?
Because he hasn't had the fight. He literally fought yesterday. We're gonna do this, Mark. We're gonna do this infantile stuff. Why doesn't he know?
No, I'm not going to do
Fought
anything.
yesterday. Well, are we gonna waste time on that?
Huh?
Are we going to waste time on that, asking silly questions?
I mean, I think your question is silly.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that's my point. So you don't think I have a precedence to ask that if this is what made you quit, will you quit in the future? You
If
don't
you're
think I
down
can
on
ask
the
that?
judges' scorecards, the precedence is
Judges'
scorecards.
scorecards-
The judges' scorecards aren't the precedence. The damage he took is the precedence.
That's my argument as well.
But
So
if he's in a fight where he's losing the fight, wouldn't he be taking more damage
That's my.
than if he was in a fight where he's winning the fight?
Thank you, dog.
Not necessarily. That's what I'm saying. It lacks context, right? So, for example, if I want to look at a fight of let's see. Let's look at Tony Yoka versus Christian Hammer, right? Excluding the headbutt, I guess. If you just want to look at damage sustained via punches, Christian Hammer was down way more than Dubois was, obviously, because Dubois was up, but Christian Hammer sustained very little damage from punches, whereas Dubois sustained a lot of damage from punches, right? So what the scorecards say versus the damage sustained don't always have a direct correlation. As we can see yesterday, Dubois was the one who sustained more damage, yet he was winning the fight, right? Meldrick Taylor sustained way more damage than Julio Cesar Chavez, even though he was way up on the scorecards.
All right, well, you're never going to be able to tell which punches are going to do more damage, but you can always count on a person's heart. Dubois was winning the fight and his heart gave out. If he's losing a fight, is his heart going to be there for that fight?
Yo,
The
Max,
answer is no.
Max, fucking thank you, dog, because these two cats is acting like they don't have no common sense. That's the point. If your heart gave out, don't interrupt me. That's the point. If your heart gave out when you were winning, what happens when you're losing and you're taking more punishment and it's a worse scenario?
Oh,
Damn
now,
no.
Julius, now you added so much more context. That makes that question
Oh, you
easy
mean
to answer.
He's taking more damage now than he quits.
He's now taking
Oh,
more
context
damage.
is important.
Let me get it straight.
Yelling,
You need me to tell you to make that inference? Because if I don't make that inference for you, you can't make it yourself.
No, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. This is down to interpretation. Where are we talking about where he was? Are we talking about on the scorecards he was losing, or in the ring was he losing? Because there is a difference.
All right, Beats. Thank you for that. Now, that's my point. On the scorecards, you went in a fight. I'm not in your body, so I cannot presume to know how you feel. And different fighters deal with injuries in different ways. I've seen a lot of guys get orbital bone fractures. Some power through it, some don't. I can't tell you which is which and who's going to do what. That's why I asked the question. That damn dog, if a jab did that to you and you didn't want to go on, it's 2 rounds left. You don't want to go on, though. You know what I mean? There's a precedent for me to ask a question. What's going to happen to you when it's a worst case scenario where you're not up on the cards, whether you know it or not? when you're not up on the cards, and it's not just the jab you got to deal with. What are you gonna do?
Okay.
Yeah, that's a scenario he'll probably quit.
It's kind of like asking, all right, let's say after Floyd beat Canelo. If we saw Canelo jumping up and around, I won, right? We'd be looking at him weird. But then you could validate it by saying, oh, one of the judges had him up, though.
That's a very good point. That is a very good point. But I guess that I think what's getting lost is point of contention. Nobody's arguing that Daniel lost the goddamn fight. I don't think that anybody can. All I'm saying is, if this is how you dealt with this kind of adversity in a fight where you were actually winning, it's not a good look moving forward. Because what if one day comes and the adversity is worse?
Yeah, but
Is
Julian,
the heart going to give out? All I'm asking is his heart going to give out on him again?
it's called winning the battle, losing the war. That's the thing we're dealing with here. Like he was losing the war. You can say he's winning the battle of the scorecards, but the actual fight was. You could even see by the body language after the knife. Did you see what Joe did? He done that Duran move where he popped his fist to do what? Go to your corner.
Listen, the poise of Joe Joyce in the fight, during the fight, is open to interpretation. Because if it works out the way that it did work out, then you could call that veteran experience, that kind of poise. That, bro, I'm not gonna go in here and do all this dumb shit with you. I'm gonna beat you with a fucking jab, right? We could say that because hindsight is 20/20. But in other scenarios where I've seen similar implementation, what did they say? Oh, the guy didn't do enough, man. You just showed a jab. He showed his jab too, but he showed more than just a jab, and that's what won him the fight. It's a case by case basis. But because we're talking about this case and these two fighters and Daniel Dubois, all that extra shit don't come into it. What I know, which is a matter of fact, this is a fight where, as far as the judges was concerned, you were winning. And in this fight that you were winning, you gave up. None of that is false. None of that is anecdotal. So if what if you? Because this is where I'm kind of going with it. What if one day Daniel's in there with a Makhmadov or some crazy motherfucker like that ain't just gonna use a jab, that he's gonna fucking come after you, bro?
Yeah, this is the thing. He was up because he's the house fighter. That's why he was up on the score.
No, Beats, I'm not debating that. We talked about that because you and I both know Frank who Frank wanted to win the same way I do. That's not up for debate. We know that. But even still, you didn't have the fortitude to keep going. And that's what I'm highlighting. That your dog is stacked in your favor. Frank wants you to win. It's in your favor. But you didn't have the fortitude to go on. I'm not bashing him. I'm just saying that moving forward, there's going to be other guys out there that could do a lot worse to you than fucking Joe Joyce. And if you find yourself in front of one of those guys, based on what you just did, it's not encouraging.
Well, the bottom line is, man, like, I'll be honest with you, like 6 minutes, like in a world title fight is an eternity. So let's not talk about 2 rounds like, oh, it's just 2 rounds.
No, but let's also not dismiss that the fight was almost over. We can say that, right?
Yeah, championship rounds.
Championship rounds, but the fight is almost over, bro. It's almost over. I'm sure that round, right before Meldrick got stopped, or Richard still caught the shit, right? I'm sure that felt like a fucking eternity. But I'm not off base if I say that the fight is almost over.
No, but I think Richard still, I know it's different, but I think Richard still was right to stop it, man.
Yeah,
well,
I agree.
I think that depends. Look, ultimately, I've seen a lot of people say a lot of things about that fight. All I'm saying is this is what happened in a fight that was all but over. This is what happened. It's 2 rounds left. The bulk of the fight, most of it, it's done. 2 rounds to go. I'm not off base if I say, yeah, the fight was almost over and you quit. Now, I'm not now, and we've had this discussion already. I ain't one of these guys that run out and chastise fighters when they quit, but I don't think I'm chastising him by saying that he quit.
No, he quit. Of course he quit.
Yeah. I agree. I think it was right for him to stop as well.
23 years old, right? You felt something pop. You probably felt the same shit pop in your eye that Brooke felt pop in his eye. Am I gonna talk about? No, I'm not the one getting hit. I'm not gonna talk shit. All I'm saying is there are other difficult situations out there. This fight, he beat you with a jab. That's how he beat you. He beat you with a jab, with a consistent jab, and you just couldn't protect that eye well enough to stop it from getting damaged. But ultimately, he beat you with a jab, not a right cross, not a straight right, not a body shot, not an uppercut, not a bolo punch. He beat you with a jab, bro.
Yeah, but like in the heavyweight division where the guys are kind of lumbering out. Like Larry Holmes was able to win many fights with just a jab because a lot of the guys don't have no head movement. So
and we talk about Sonny Liston's jab. He was able to do with his jab what a lot of guys sometimes can't even do with their right hand.
right, so Joyce was able to do his homework, realizing that his right hook is a bit undeveloped. Joyce, so if he throws too many of them, he's open for the left hook counter. So he worked on his jab and just popped it and popped it and popped it. And Daniel did nothing to slip it, nothing to block it. And it was just, like you say, as effective as using a right hand in the end. You know?
But see, you're kind of making my point for me, Beats, because essentially if Joyce had the foresight to like, yo, this dude, I could beat this fucking guy with a jab. I can beat him with a jab. I don't got to do all this crazy shit that he doing. He throwing all these right hands, all this extra shit. Bro, I'll beat you with a jab. That's not encouraging moving forward, wouldn't you say? If you see a guy go out there, he gets beat by a jab. It doesn't have to be the end of the world, but it's safe to say, yo, you got to go back to the drawing board, bro.
Oh, well, here's the thing, though. Like, you picked him to win, so that means you saw some potential. With me and Daniel, I knew Daniel was going to come unstuck very, very soon, whether it was Joyce or someone else. So
it's a fair point. I know that to be true. I know that to be true. But I'm not calling Daniel a piece of trash. I'm just asking questions like, yo, dog, you gotta go back to the drawing board. You just got beat by a jab.
And if
he's a bit trashy, bro. He didn't slip none of them jabs, bro. I was shocked. I said, Daniel, you gonna slip one of them jabs? Nope. Nope.
And I saw the kid eat 4 jabs in succession, dog. 4 in succession.
Julius, and if I may say something, right? To me, it wasn't really about me picking Joyce or whatever, you picking Dubois. Like, it really wasn't about any of that, and it isn't about, what Dubois can do in the future, his vulnerabilities that were shown. That's kind of why I thought Joyce would win, right? To me, if you're saying that, how is he going to react in the future when he's taking more damage and down on the scorecards? I say, well, if he took less damage here and was up on the scorecards, then of course he's going to quit in the future. But the only issue I had initially was that I didn't know that you were making the scenario that not only was he down, but he was taking more damage, right? So under the assumption that he's taking more damage, yeah, 100%. But I think if he can go back to the drawing board.
You know what my issue is? That I'm assuming that people can paint that picture for themselves. Like, okay, you're down on the cards, so you must be taking more damage than you took in the Joyce fight, because in this fight, you're actually down. So you must really be losing this motherfucker.
I mean, that doesn't always happen, right? You could look at
Well,
wait, hold up.
I gotta put it another way. I'm gonna ask Beats. Beats, who do you think wanted Frank to win the fight?
Who do I think Frank Wall wanted to win?
Yeah, who do you think he wanted to win the fight?
It was Dubois all day. All day.
Max, who did you think? If you look at Frank, who did it look like Frank wanted to win the fight?
Dubois.
Mark, who did it look like Frank wanted to win the fight?
Obviously, Dubois.
Obviously, right?
Dubois.
So I'm saying, if you're on a Queen, once again, I'm assuming that people can do this for themselves. If you're on a Queensberry Promotions card and you're Daniel Dubois and you're down, man, you must be getting fucked up, because we know Frank likes you. You're his golden goose. I'm assuming that people can connect these dots themselves.
Yeah, so you're making assumptions, though, right? So when I ask for context, I don't see why it's ridiculous to be confused. My main thing is, if you want to look at a guy like Gabe Rosado versus Sulecki, and Gabe Rosado versus Gabe Rosado versus Sulecki, and Sulecki versus Demetrius Andrade, right? Demetrius Andrade was outpointing him a lot more than Gabe Rosado did, given by the fact that Selecki won that fight. But if you want to look at the damage sustained, Selecki was almost knocked out in the later half of the Rosado fight, whereas by the end of the Andrade fight, he just looked like he had been thoroughly outclassed, right? So hold up, please, 1 second. So that's why I ask. Well, 1 second, please. I'm still talking. So that's why when I'm asking about context behind him being up or down in the cards, I'm not thinking about it being a Queensberry card and that he must have been knocked down a couple times and that he also has his eye broken again and that he's facing a heavier puncher or that he's fighting freaking Makhmudov, right? So that's why I just asked for context, and with the context that you provided, yeah, I agree. If he's taking more damage and down in the cards, yeah, of course he'll quit.
And you're telling me that because I didn't specify all of this to you, that makes asking the question too much to ask?
No, I just think the way you asked it the second time makes way more sense. I think it's much better asked it the second time. All I asked was for context.
When did Rosado fight? For Rosado didn't fight Selecki. You keep saying Rosado. Do you mean Jacobs?
No, I meant Rosado versus Selecki.
Did they fight?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let some guys weigh in on this that haven't gotten a chance to talk yet. Tony, I said you know what's going on, right? I don't got to break it down for you. Or do you want me to add some backstory,
No, you good, because my mindset's the same as yours, and I'm gonna break it down a little different, but restate pretty much what you've already said. First off, I'm gonna say it right here: the boy has no heart. How do I conclude this? He's been given easy fights. This was his hardest fight, his first real fight. The first time he got in there with a real dog, and it was a close fight, but he gave up. He quit. He got hit in the eye. I don't care if the orbital. He took a knee and he gave up. He refused to continue. He quit. There's no getting around that. That's a fact that he quit. Furthermore, Julius, this is where I agree with you with. He was getting hit by the jab all night. Joyce tried to throw hooks. He missed them by a mile. He tried to throw straights. He missed them by a mile. All he could really connect on him with was a jab to the eye. So what happens in the future when Daniel Dubois has a bow to the kidney, bow to the liver, bow to the solar plex, bow to the chin, bow to the temple, bow to the other eye.
Hold on, Beats. Let him finish, and then I'm gonna let you go.
The bottom line is this: yes, he got his eye fucked up from a jab, but he was not beat up. Being beat up is having your whole fucking body destroyed, and he wasn't beat up. He was being hit by a singular punch that landed throughout the fight, but it was just a singular punch. What happens when he gets hit by 5, 6, 7, 8 at a time, and he's being hit everywhere from the forehead to the waist? He's gonna give up. He's gonna fold.
Now, Tony, your point, Tony. That's why I brought up Naoya Inoue. That look, you suffered an orbital bone fracture and you couldn't see out of the eye. But comparatively, Naoya Inoue suffered more shots, harder shots at the hands of Nonito than you suffered at the hands of Joe. But Inoue, unlike you, he kept going.
Well, even Julius. Somebody brought up Kell Brook earlier. Even Kell Brook kept fighting Triple G with a broken orbital the first time he broke it. Yep. His corner threw in the towel. It wasn't until the Earl Spence fight that he took a knee and gave up. But the first time he got his eye bashed, he kept fighting.
And that was the only point that I'm making. That, okay, in a scenario where you're actually down on the cards, and I didn't think that I would have to hold anyone's hand when I say this, but that sounds like what the issue is, that I guess I didn't say it clearly enough, even though I thought I characterized that adequately. This guy must be getting his fucking ass kicked if you're on a Queensberry card and you're losing. Because here, you were winning. And we know Frank wanted you to win. Everybody on this panel knows that. Anybody that saw this fight knows that. Frank was sitting with Daniel at the face-off shit, and Sam Jones was sitting with his guy Joe. So all of this is obvious shit. I didn't think that I have to explain all of this to say that, yo, dog, there's going to be more adversity in the future. And based on how you handle this, well, that's not encouraging. It's not encouraging because the division is full of guys that, and it's getting more full of guys that they're big-handed guys, and they might be able to touch you with the right. Joe, all he did was touch you with the left. That's what he touched you with, the left. I said that in the video. I said that on Twitter. Yo, you got beat by a jab, bro. Not a right cross. not a kidney punch. No freak shit. You got beat by a jab.
But here's the truth: the jab went to the body as well. It didn't just hit him in the head; it went to the body as well. And from about the 8th and 9th, Joe was connecting with both hands. He did start connecting with both hands.
But the accumulated damage caused to the eye, that resulted in him saying, "Yo, I had enough. I don't want to keep going." That was from the jab.
It was, and then the punches. I'm not saying Joe Joyce not straight at all, but they were so far few in between that it's not really relevant to what caused him to quit the fight. It was the jab, just like Julius is saying. He got jabbed in the eye. Only one punch hit him. One jab landed. He pawed at it and took a knee. When I saw it live, I thought he got Vaseline in his eye because he came out with that glob of Vaseline in the 10th round, and I figured he was trying to get the shit out of his eye. I had no idea that he was going to take a knee and quit off of that jab.
Me neither.
You don't have to throw
We got a question, fellas. Hold on. We got a question. Question for the panel. Do you all believe that the doctor would have stopped the fight if Dubois didn't quit? I'm going to start off by saying no. I don't think the doctor would have stopped the fight unless Daniel was giving the doctor a reason to stop the fight, because that's what they do. If you're pawing at the eye or whatever it is, if you're telling the doc, I can't see, there's a reason that the doctor's even going to come over to you. If you're taking shots and you're showing an inability to defend yourself, all right, then the doctor's going to come over to you and be like, yo, you good? I'll stop this motherfucker, all right? As long as Daniel's not showing an ability to defend himself, then the doctor's not going to stop shit. But we'll never know. We don't need to know. He fucking quit. He quit. And that's the point. You quit.
Jay, what I think is at the end of the 9th round, where you saw Dubois just said to his cornerman just before, something's wrong with my eye, and you see the cornerman go into him really close, where I think he's just saying to him, listen, let's see if we can go one more round. I think that's where the biggest problem started. And obviously once Joyce hit him in the 10th, that's when his legs just went and he went, okay, I'm done now. I can't go any further. I think that's where it starts, though.
And I'm gonna say this, Big K, right? I'm gonna say this. I'm not condemning. I'm not damning him or any it's your eye, bro. It ain't my eye. You do what you feel is real with it. All I'm saying is it's possible that he faces more adversity moving forward than what he faced with Joe. And because
he doesn't have the head movement for it.
And that's the point. That's the only point that I'm literally making. It like, yo, dog, you got beat by a jab, right? It wasn't like it was the most hellacious beating I've ever seen in a boxing match. Far from it. But in this situation,
hellacious, yeah.
But in this situation where you were beaten by a singular punch, because that's what beat you, it was the jab. That was Joe's most effective punch, and that was really one of the only punches he was actually landing, the jab.
I think after the first round, though, you see where it took.
My biggest problem with Dubois is this, okay? He's pretty much had it easy, okay? He's had it easy. He got in there. It would be different if Dubois had hard fights before where he had to dig deep, but he never has. This is the first time that he would have had to dig deep. And when that opportunity came, he failed and quit.
And so that's why I question his heart. That's what I'm saying, dog. And I thought, like, look, I don't know. Maybe Tony took it away from what I said, and I guess a lot of people didn't. I don't know. But I didn't think that point was so elusive that, like, yo, dog, this wasn't no motherfucking Gaddy versus Ward, bro. This wasn't no Zepeda versus Baranchik. It wasn't even one of those. This wasn't a Prograis versus Taylor. It wasn't like that. You got beat into submission by a jab.
Yeah, but let's not pretend that orbital bone got broken in the 10th. That eye was swollen from about the 4th. From about the 3rd, it started swelling up.
From I noticed it from the 3rd round. On the third round, in the corner coming out, I said his eye looked a little broken up, and then midway through the 3rd, it started to swell more.
Yeah, and Julius, so my main point, right, is I just don't, I can't read minds, bro. So when I'm asking for context and then it took us 40 minutes for you to just add the context, that's all I needed. So I think I'm good here. I think we're on the same page now. I actually agree with everything. I just wanted more context because I think that the original statement, it lacked that, right? So thanks for having me on. Have a good live stream and peace out.
Let me just get in there quickly, right? So if his eye was swelling up from the 3rd, right, from the jab, So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why would he throw more right hands when that's not his stronger punch? The jab is the stronger punch. No, you keep using the jab. You're gonna
Exactly,
fall apart.
Beats. Exactly. That's what you just carry on because he saw that the left was just the jab was working magic for him.
But
So
I'm
why
asking
throwing
the
him?
question, Beats and K. I'm gonna ask a question. If you see a young up and coming fighter that ain't got the head movement to work his way around the jab, right? That he just keep getting fucking touched by this fucking jab. Isn't that gonna make you ask, yo, dog, what are you gonna do moving forward, bro? You couldn't find your way around the jab.
Yeah.
Well, see, let me answer that. Like I said before, I predicted him to lose and lose badly. So I didn't need this fight to say how you're going to proceed. I knew when this guy went up a level that he was going to get a beating. I knew this was coming.
And I get your points. I get your point, Beats. But I'm saying if you see this in a fighter, let's say we watching some good prospects coming up, and then you looking at a prospect, and then you see that, yo, this fucking kid keeps getting touched by this goddamn jab. And then you see that the goddamn kid gives up in the fight. Aren't you going to have questions moving forward for that kid?
But Julius, you would have had questions from before.
Of course.
But
Because this is where me and Beats differ. I give it to Beats. He didn't trust Daniel. He was right not to trust him. I give him that much. I have to. But what I'm saying is I actually did trust Daniel. I thought he was going to win. I was wrong. So now that I feel that I was wrong and I realized that, I'm asking questions like, yo, dog, what's going to happen to you moving forward?
Yeah, but Julius, this is what, and listen to what Mark said. Mark said he believes he got his eye broken, the orbital bone broken in the 3rd round, okay? That means he went 7 more rounds into the 10th with a broken orbital bone. Now, remember that, 7 more rounds. Whenever I was scoring this fight, I had it even going into at the end of the 8th. And the 9th round, Joyce really started to take control, and you saw the look of desperation on Dubois' face when he went to the corner at the end of the 9th round. At the 10th round, he got popped. He didn't like it. He pawed at his eye, took a knee, and gave up. He was already giving up when he saw the fight slipping out of his hand. It had nothing to do with the eye. He knew that he was going down even worse after that 9th round ended. And you could see the look of, I'm done on his face. It was written. It had nothing to do with the eye. It had to do with the heart. In my honest opinion, that's what I believe. I believe he has no heart, and I don't see how he will ever be a champion because he's not going to fight through adversity. He's just going to give up.
Now to Tony, I'm not gonna lean all the way to Tony's point, but essentially my question addresses Tony's point. They're like, yo, dog, this was a question of heart. I don't think it's the question of heart, bro. It is like there's a precedence to ask, like, yo, dog, this is how it happened for you. And this was a fight, which is why I brought up the fucking scorecard. This was a fight where officially you're actually winning. So what happens in those moments when you're down on the cards, when you're taking hard shots? What's going to happen?
Jay, I had him down anyway. I had him around down anyway. And I just think throughout the fight, you could just see that the desperation in him over the rounds was making him feel that this was just a lost cause. So I question his heart as well. But I also question his ability, which I think I mentioned on the last live I was on. That I picked Joyce to win because the Olympic pedigree that he had was gonna hold him in such good stead against someone who was rushed through.
Now here's another red herring question. Did Dubois know? It's not about if he knew he was winning. Factually, he was fucking winning, dog. That's the point. That factually, regardless of how you were scoring the fight in your house, what you score in your house does not determine the outcome of the fight. So I don't care how someone else might have had it. What I know is the actual fucking judges that score the fucking fight, they had the kid winning. You literally quit in a fight that you were winning. That is the point. So if you quitting in a fight that you're winning, what's going to happen to you in a fight that you're losing?
Julius.
John, I haven't heard nothing from you, John.
I've got a point. You might like this one. Right. Did Vladimir quit against Chris Bird?
Vladimir?
Hey, Julius.
Yeah.
Vitali, Vitali.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I would say, with context, yes, you could say that.
Hold up, but hold on. Let me say
Hold
this
on,
to that.
hold on. It's a question.
Oh wait,
No,
John
Let's
didn't get to
question.
say nothing. John didn't get to say nothing. Keep going, John.
Was he ahead on the scorecards at the time?
Yes.
Right. So I think a lot of it is actually going to depend on what happens with Daniel from now, and who takes over his training. Because I think he needs to change his training. I think that's the most important thing. I think he needs to be brought along in the right way to move forward from this. So he's only 23.
But you
He's
know,
only,
I mean, like,
he's only 23.
But
And
it's
handled
not.
in the right way, he could come back from this. But I don't know.
But hey, man, they're not comparable. Like you comparing Klitschko to Tally, who was beating the living dog shit out of Bird, dominating him, throwing out his rotator cuff and quitting is nothing to do with that. But no, hold on, listen.
That could scar you more mentally.
No, but listen to what I'm saying. Vitali was not taking any real damage in that fight. There was no worry of him losing in that fight. He knew he was ahead.
Talking about Vitali.
But listen to my point. He knew he was ahead because he was dominating. He ripped out his rotator cuff. He quit. Yes, he quit, but there wasn't a question of his heart because there was no reason for him to quit because he was so far ahead. With Daniel,
I'm gonna be honest. The reason that's a tough scenario for me to try and look at as a parallel to this is because that is the kind of situation that would make me question a fighter's heart, the Chris Bird fight. But at the same time, I think of the Lennox Lewis fight. Your fucking eye is split, bro. It's a wreck, right? But this motherfucker wanted to go on. So I'm like, I don't know if I could jump to that same conclusion with him because I've seen two separate instances that suggest two different things. With Daniel, the reason I ask is because he's 23 years old. If you ever gonna be hungry, these is the years. These are the years where you a fucking asshole, where you a fucking animal. These is the years. But in these years, yo, you quit.
Again, I just have to say I don't see how they're comparable. It's like apples to oranges because Vitali was dominating that fight, whereas Joyce was game against Daniel Dubois, and Daniel Dubois knew it. Joyce was constantly peppering that eye. He was hurt. Vitali had no damage done to him outside of him throwing out his own shoulder. So I don't even see how they're relatable because if Klitschko would have been getting beat up and then threw out his shoulder and quit, then you could question his heart. But being that he was so far ahead, there was really no reason for him to quit other than he was just hurt too bad to continue. That's why I don't see him as the same. I appreciate you letting me on, Julius, but I got to go eat this food.
Eat that fucking food, Tony. All right. Why do you? I'm gonna ask Beats. Beats, do you consider Victor Ortiz a quitter?
Yeah, well, he's obviously he quit against Maidana. He quit against what's his name, Jose Cito Lopez and Berto.
Some people think he quit in the second Berto fight. Some people were saying they felt he quit in that fucking shit.
Yeah. He's quit a couple of times. Yeah.
So you see where I'm coming from. That I'm like, yo, dog, like it's a pattern. Everything happens in patterns. It's like when you got a mouse, you got mice. If you quit, you got quitter in you, yo. You got a quitter in you. That's what I'm getting at. Because I'm like, yo, dog. And once again, I'm not chastising him. It's your eye, bro. It's not my eye. I ain't the one getting hit. But if you find yourself in a worse situation than this one, what that tells me is, yo, you might decide that, nah, I'm good, bro. I ain't dying in here. I ain't going blind in here. Whatever, you know what I mean? That's what it tells me.
I mean, he's still young though. So the question is, can he learn how to persevere? Can he grow from this fight going on in the future?
And that's once again, thank you, Max, because I'm opening the door to ask questions. Do you see an angle where he could recover from this? Do you see him going on to quit more fights? It's okay to ask a question because that's all I did. Ask the question. The kid quit last night. Should we expect him to quit in the future?
No, I don't think
It's a
so.
probability.
It's a probability.
It's a probability.
It's a realistic question to ask. And we don't know what the answer is going to be. But what I think the most important thing for him to that in the future is actually who trains him moving forward. Because the guy that has been training him hasn't done a good job.
And I agree with John there.
Yeah, but in saying that,
I think across the board he hasn't done a good job with it.
yeah, but in saying that, like Martin Bowles has done a decent job with Denzel Bentley. Like he knows how to like move side to side and use his legs and box.
Well, maybe
And get his head off center line as well.
Okay,
right.
Ruiz, when Joshua was lost to Ruiz, a lot of fucking people, and I didn't agree with them. A lot of people were saying throw the whole goddamn trainer away, get rid of Rob McCracken. I didn't agree with that. Why? Because the proof was in the pudding. Up until that point, he was a unified champion. That's what Rob McCracken got him to, right? With Daniel, it's a different situation. You still a prospect, bro. You just lost to another prospect. So I got a reason to ask, yo, do you need a new corner? Because you ain't even champion. You ain't contender level yet.
Just because what those
did after he lost
didn't make it right.
Okay,
didn't make it right, man.
All right, Rick Quicker. Rick Quicker, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
I got you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I can hear you.
Okay, so my point, Reagan, my point was about Daniel Dubois specifically. Okay, it was did he and his corner think that they were winning that fight? That wasn't my point. Wasn't what I was judging at home. It was, did he think that he was winning that fight? That was the point that I was making. So I don't think he was thinking, oh, I'm kicking the shit out of this guy. So I just have to stick around for 2 more rounds, and then the fight is in the bag. I don't know if he realized he was winning that fight. He probably may have been thinking, I'm getting my ass kicked here, and it's pointless to continue if my eye swelled up and all that other stuff. He may have been in pain as well. So that was the reason, and that was the point that I was making on that.
All right, now I'm gonna make my point.
That's a brilliant point. That's a brilliant point.
I want to make my point to Rick that, see, this is the thing. Perhaps Daniel don't feel that he's winning the fight, right? Why now? Because he don't feel that he's winning the fight. What does that accent? The adversity of the situation that he is in, and he chose not to deal with that adversity. When the reality of it is, the judges have him winning the fight, but he don't want to deal with the adversity. He don't want to deal with the adversity. The judges think you're winning, but you don't.
But Julian, here's the thing, right? Like, adding on to what the last guy said, did he think he was winning? You see, this is what I'm saying. You could win the battle, but are you winning the war? When Dubois was his corner, right? His trainer started barking at him, panicking. So even though like BT or whatever had him up on the scorecards, the whole team were acting like they were losing. The body language.
Exactly.
The body language, not in just the fighters, but in the corners, was totally different. One had a momentum, the other one had a momentum that was going downhill.
Mm-hmm. Truthfully, though, even if you have the momentum going against you, you should still never give up. That's the boxer's job, to fight to the last punch, you know?
Thank you, Max. I'll be.
Whoa. No,
wait a minute. This is where I'm coming from, all right? Diego Corrales, Castillo. Diego's obviously losing the fight, obviously, and that's where I'm coming from with it. That like, yo, you have those guys that they had to deal with worse circumstances than what you're dealing with right now. They've been knocked down several times. They're down on the cards. They stuck with it. Now, once again, I have to keep saying this. I'm not chastising Daniel. It's not my eye, but it's mathematics. What's the probability of him quitting a fight that's more adverse than this when, yo, you gave up here, bro, and you was winning this fight? Even if you didn't think you were winning this fight, you couldn't deal with the adversity of it. So you're panicking in the corner. So your trainer's bugging out. Everybody's scared and all that extra shit. You can't deal with the adversity. That's what I'm saying.
But you got to remember, he's also still only 23 years old. So again, he's still kind of green. Again, he only had 15 fights in. So, that might also come into play. That, maybe it's perhaps a learning lesson for him on this case. And that's, again, he's never been in a situation like that before. So that could be another thing that you can throw in there.
Hey, let me jump in here right quick, man. I think that what Julius is saying is a perfectly reasonable assumption to make. Although, with that being said, is highly speculative, and I'll say this is why I say this, Julius. But I do that's a reasonable assumption, but it's highly speculative, and this is why I say that. That drive and will to continue is really all about an individual, and like even Julius alluded to it, it's not his eye, right? But so Daniel Dubois gets his socket broken or whatever. He gets it fixed. He comes back and he finds out it's not as bad as I thought this would be. The next time around, knowing that he can get it repaired and stuff, we don't know how his head is going to be. Next time around, he could just be like, yo, you know what? Fuck that. They fixed it before. I'm going to beat this dude ass. We don't know. We really don't know. That's where the individual kicks in. We can make the assumption that, well, look, he showed us he'll quit now. Maybe he'll quit again. But the fact he's so young and this is the first time of him facing that type of shit, we just got to see what goes on from here.
Now, D, to your point, let me add this to your point, D. That was the whole purpose of asking a question and not making. I didn't make a statement. All I said was, yo, what can we expect in the future? That's why you ask a question, because it's
I just got there, fam. I was in the chat for a little bit, but I didn't get the whole, argument. But I felt it.
I mean, the whole thing, what I did was, in plain English, which is a simple matter of fact, he quit in a fight that he was winning. Whether he was aware he was winning it or not is besides the point. That has more to do with his heart than anything else. But it is his heart that we're questioning, because officially, you were winning the fight. But because of your heart, you decided to call it a day. So, yeah, there's a reason for me to ask a question, which is what I did. That's all I did.
Let me ask the panel this. Can I ask the panel this? What do you guys think about those scorecards?
Bullshit.
The lopsided card was bullshit. The lopsided card was bullshit.
Well, I had 147 people in my chat. I was doing the fight, doing commentary, right? And then so at the end of the fight, when he knocked him down, I asked the question. I said, how did y'all have this going in to the 10th, right? All the way down the board, I seen mostly 6'3" Joyce, and I seen some 7'2" Joyce. No fucking body had Daniel Dubois anywhere close. Now, and me personally, when I got to the end of that fight, I had a 6'3" myself going into the 10th. I don't understand those cards at all.
Now, this is what I'll say comparatively. No, I didn't have it lopsided for Daniel. But that 2-round deficit for Joe, that card is the card that made the most sense to me, because I reiterate, Joe is not, and this is going to be anecdotal. We're not going to come to a consensus on this, on how y'all scored the fight versus how I scored the fight. I'm scoring it based on what I think these fucking judges is doing. And in the fight, what I'm seeing is Joe is getting off that jab, but Daniel's getting off his jab. But Daniel's getting off more than just a jab. He's getting off body shots. He's getting off right hands. He's throwing some hooks here and there. Sometimes he's pushing the guy around. And what made matters worse, and we talked about it during the live, I don't know if y'all heard it. This is going to sound stupid, right? Joe had a faux hawk. You know what I mean? You came into the fight with a faux hawk. So every time you get touched with that jab and your neck snaps back, we can see it in plain sight. Bernard Hopkins talked about that. Like, yo, sometimes you got to rock a baldy so it's not as obvious to the judges that you're getting touched. With Joe, it was real obvious when he was getting touched. So I'm thinking, yo, these judges is giving these rounds to Daniel. And lo and behold, that's what the fuck they was doing.
Well, I think those judges giving the round to Daniel had more to do with Frank Warren, to be honest with you, Julie. Yeah. I don't think that it had to do. I get your breakdown and I get what you're saying, but you got 3 different judges, and I can guarantee you they're not fucking robotic. So one of those judges out of the 3 may have been seeing it like you, but what's the odds of all of them looking at the fight in the same way? The second thing is, bro, I said this before the fight. If this shit goes to the cards, Joe Joyce might be in trouble.
That's what I was thinking.
I said that shit before the fight, fam. Like
we all said that though.
Okay, Julius, this is what I'm saying. So we have to account for that. We can't just say, okay, well, I had it like this, and so did the judges. And then
I'm accounting for that. I accounted for that already by saying that the lopsided card was bullshit. I said that already, dog.
I feel you, Julius, but I'm saying it was a little more than just that lopsided card, bro. Because again, man, like all of us that sit here and analyze boxing and the majority is basically that Joe Joyce was winning that fight. Like these, we can say that Daniel Dubois. The way I broke the fight down, the way I started the fight is you got a 3-minute round. And within many of those rounds, Dubois might have had a 10-second spurt here, maybe a 15-second spurt there, and Joe Joyce controlled the rest of the round. I mean, it was not just like a simple jab. It was like jab after jab, sometimes double jab, jab. And he threw some body shots too. He was jabbing down to the body. He was changing levels on him. So, I mean, he was controlling the pace. Yeah, Daniel Dubois roughed him up sporadically, but the majority of the fight, it was how much do we see Daniel Dubois going back
and like I said,
around?
D, once again, there's not going to be no consensus on this because I disagree with you. I'm not going off of who I think is winning the fight. I'm trying to see what are these judges doing. The whole time a fight is going on, that's what I'm trying to figure out. For example, if Canelo Alvarez is in the ring, I'm not scoring the fight the way I would if Taylor and Prograis is in the ring. You understand me? You know you're going to see something stupid. You know it. So I'm trying to figure out what are they doing? What are they doing? One of these we know Frank wants Daniel to win, so don't act like it's a regular fight.
Okay, right. So I get that. And so what are these judges doing concerning Frank Warren greasing their palms? I agree with you. But what I see in a fight, my analysis of a fight, fucking Daniel Dubois was getting his ass whooped. So if somebody asks me, what do I think of those scorecards? I'm going to say complete bullshit. Because if we're going to go under the assumption that, okay, what are these judges doing? And we're going to take into account what are they doing based on Frank Warren, then there's already bullshit in our mind. So at the end of the fight, hold on, Julie. So at the end of the fight, when I see it 6-3, then I'm going to call those cards bullshit. Not just a lopsided one. Bullshit.
All right, now, when I say that the lopsided card is bullshit, where does that come from, right? 9 times out of 10, what I notice is when a promoter favors a fighter, one of these fucking cards is going to be retarded. One of them.
That's true.
One of these shits is going to be completely fucking retarded. I don't care what promoter it is. But 114 Canelo with Mayweather, right? Stupid shit. The Golovkin card. There was one card on there, Golovkin 109, I think it was.
118, 109. Yep.
Like, all right, so I'm thinking, yo, Frank probably got one of these guys in the pocket. But the guy that had Joe down 2 rounds, yeah, I agree with that guy. Joe, you just showing a jab, bro. That's it. You just showing a jab. This kid's showing right crosses, straight rights. He's showing body shots. He's showing hooks. You just showing a jab.
But the jab was winning and the jab was working.
Yeah, jab, no. See, going back to the same shit I said y'all was doing before. You focusing on the outcome. If I'm talking about the scoring of the fight while the fight is happening.
Well, we
at home do not know how Daniel felt getting that jab pumped in his eye. And don't tell me that you did. Don't tell me that.
But Julius, I'm not basing it on the outcome of the fight. I'm basing it on what I fucking saw. And with your analogy about how judges score on the cards, we know there's always going to be a goofy card in there. I agree with that. But then there are situations when a certain fighter is favored. Case in point, Chavez, Whitaker, Bradley, Pacquiao, where all of the fucking judges are going to be nuts. Right? So it's not just a simple thing as just one card. No, it can be a situation where every fucking judge are out of their fucking mind, and that's just 2 examples that I gave to you. And I think that this is another one here because Frank Warren had his ass knee deep into this fight.
Yeah. Here's the other thing too that one can think about. It's not just going to be perhaps the jab that the judges would be looking at. It was also maybe we can ask the panel this: who had better ring generalship in the fight? Do you think Joyce had it, or do you think Dubois had it?
I think Joyce had it late, but Dubois had it early.
I think Joyce had it in the second round.
I think Joyce had it.
I was never in control of that fight. Never.
You're not going to convince. All right, now once again. Wait a minute. You're not now. This is why I don't get into anecdotes because we're going to end up talking about a bunch of shit that we're not going to agree on. You're not going to tell me that Joe was controlling the fight, getting pushed around, backed off, and eating those combinations. He's not controlling the fight. When he was giving up real estate, and he's swinging and he's missing, because if I go by what y'all said, right? If I was to go by what y'all said, and I never saw the fight, and then I go to see the fight, I'm gonna go into the fight thinking I'm about to watch the only shellacking, and it wasn't. Like it wasn't, and that
Julius,
was the
can I
whole
ask you a
point.
question?
You did. Hold on, wait. This was not a fight that was a tear up on the level of Taylor versus Prograis. It wasn't that kind of fight. You got beat by a jab.
Where's the rule that I have to beat up by throwing haymakers? Where's
Now,
the rule?
Beats, you're arguing a moot point because nobody's saying there's a rule. I'm telling you that this fight, its aesthetic, was not a tear up. It wasn't.
Yeah, because one man got busted up by a jab. Listen,
but Beats, wait a minute. Isn't that my point? That
No,
you got beat by a jab, bro. You got beat by a jab. Joe wasn't landing a lot of heavy lever. This is what Joe's jab did to you.
But let me get my context out there, right? Dubois would come out, he'd throw 2-3 big hooks, a couple would land, and then his gas tank would be on E. And Joe
exactly the point.
For the rest of the round.
All right, now to Beats' point, you're not gonna sit here telling me that his gas tank was on E from round 2 onward. That didn't happen till after the mid rounds.
Julius,
he didn't slow down until after the mid round.
That's not true. That's not true. That is not true. He slowed down after the 4th round.
He took 1 round off in the first half.
Let me finish my point. 1 sec. He was blowing from the 3rd round. Dubois. He was blowing.
At the 4th round, he started to slow down for sure, fam. At the 4th round, and I actually mentioned it because I told everybody in the chat. I said, hey, y'all turn the sound up right quick in the corner because they always turn the sound down and just listen to me do commentary. I told them to turn the sound up real quick and listen to the way Daniel Dubois is breathing. It's crazy the way he's breathing already. It's only the 3rd round. When he got into the 4th round, I started to mention it. I said, look at it. He already started to slow down. So that mid-round shit, I can't agree with that. He started to slow down in the 4th round when he was coming out of that 3rd round, breathing like he done ran a fucking 1,600 meter.
That's great that he was breathing heavy. The reality
but I'm saying the way he was performing he was slowing down, fam. Starting in the 4th round.
Listen, man, in the first half of the fight, the only guy that was throwing any kind of heavy lever was not Joe. So don't tell me that, oh, yeah, he slowed it. No, the whole first half of the fight, this dude is throwing bombs.
Julius, for the first 30 seconds of each round.
No, for the first half of the fight, he was throwing bombs sporadically. I just said this. And this is why I didn't give him as many rounds, because Daniel Dubois would sit there, move around, back off, Joyce pushing him with the jab, pushing Daniel around with the jab to the belly, to the face, and then Daniel Dubois would explode for like a 10 or 15 seconds. Felt like he got Joyce hurt. Joyce would recover and start pushing him around again. It's not like Daniel Dubois had any round, maybe a couple of rounds, and those were the rounds I gave him. But most of those rounds, it's not like Daniel Dubois was fucking Joyce up for the majority of the round. It was the other way around.
There you go. This is the bullshit y'all do. Y'all do with these bullshit comments what Loma do with his power punches. Y'all try to sneak him in there like I'm not gonna touch it. That's bullshit. I never said he was dominating. I didn't say he was dominating. I said very clearly the only guy that was throwing heavy leather in the first half of the fight was Daniel. Joe won the fight with a fuck. Joe did the same shit from the beginning of the fight to the end of the fight. He showed the jab. What's the difference? Once Daniel started slowing down, you're taking more punishment. He's pushing you around more. But in the beginning, the only guy who's throwing heavy lever that the judges can see that they're going to give him the round. Why? Because he's getting off jabs too. Y'all acting like this kid didn't get off no motherfucking jabs.
Okay, heavy lever.
I'm not done. If I go off of your analysis of it, right, I'm going to think that I'm going to watch a one-sided beating. And no, dog, that wasn't that fight. It wasn't that way.
I sat around waiting for Joe to close the show. I love close the fight. Yo, Joe, when you gonna close it?
Yeah,
that's what I was waiting
for. About that.
Well, Julius said, okay, let me take my analysis. So if I gave somebody an analysis of that fight before they went and watched it, I think that all of us we respectfully know that there's a difference from a jab and a power jab. We know guys who've had power jabs. So if I break down the fight and tell somebody before they go watch him, I'm going to say that Joyce beat the hell out of him all night with a power jab. I'm not gonna tell them just a jab. And when they go watch the fight, they're gonna be like, God damn, he was
Okay, now I'm gonna ask
brutalizing
you a
me.
question, D. Let's talk about some power jab fights. One immediately comes to mind, and this fight wasn't even on par with that fight, and that was the motherfucking David Lemieux versus Gennady Golovkin fight. If you told me that, like, yo, this motherfucker beat the shit out this guy with a goddamn jab, right? I'm gonna think, all right, Golovkin Lemieux. This fight, that was not this fight, bro. Golovkin Lemieux did not have any of the moments against Golovkin that Dubois had against Joe. Y'all acting like that kid had. That's why I said that. Like, yo, if I go off of what y'all saying, I'm gonna get an impression of the fight. That's not the case. All right. You want to talk about beating the shit out of somebody with just a jab? That's all you did. He came forward, pop, 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 fucking you up, pop, pop. He's bleeding. Dubois wasn't even fucking bleeding, dog. He got a puffy eye. He got a puffy eye.
Yeah, he's got nerve damage.
He's
got nerve damage and a broken orbital bone. What more do you want?
I'm not downplaying the severity of his injury. I'm talking about as the fight is happening. Wouldn't you say that Golovkin versus Lemieux was a more violent display of the power jab than this was?
I would say it's a more violent display, but I wouldn't say Daniel Dubois didn't have a display of a power jab. I wouldn't say that either.
Other guys have went on jabs, you know. I mean, the Klitschko's are some of my favorite guys, and two of my favorite guys, and Vladimir in two fights that I remember against Sultan Abramonov and against David Hay, he pretty much jabbed him for the majority of that fight and had control of the fight with ring generalship. So, I mean, of course, he did throw some power punches, but Hay did connect in the fight with Klitschko, but for the most part, Klitschko dominated that fight with his jab, and that was the thing with the fight.
I want to do something. Boardroom Bully, you talking a lot of shit in the comments, and I posted links for anybody that want to join. So by all means, feel free. Cut it out, bro. Like cut that bullshit out.
John Norton said in one of the rounds, Dubois went to his corner, and it looked like his body went through some trauma and shock. He was actually shaking while he was sitting on the stool. So for you to say that no damage was being done, right?
No, come on, Beats. You doing that Loma shit. That's what you're doing. I did not say that no damage was done. I said a more violent display that I've seen of a power jab is Golovkin Lemieux. That shit was violent. Like, yo, this dude looked like he's gonna die. All right, stop the fight. The dude looked like he's gonna die. When Daniel quit, I was surprised because I'm like, yo, he still looked like he in this fight. Might be losing this round, but he still looked like he in this fight. At no point in Lemieux versus Golovkin did I think, yeah, Lemieux's in this fight, bro. Give him another round, bro. He needs another chance, bro.
Well, I agree it was a more violent display, but I'm not saying that what Joyce did was not a display of a power jab. GGG's was a more violent display, but with Daniel Dubois, I wasn't surprised he quit. I seen him breathing like a fucking runaway slave. I seen his fucking eyes. What was the surprise in that? Like, why was
I was, bro. No, don't look. If any of you guys had Joe knocking this kid out, that's great because it was possible.
Yeah, I picked the 10th round. Exactly.
It was possible. It was possible that Joe goes in there, he outlasts the kid, and he stretches him. I never ruled that out. I never thought he would quit. And don't tell me that you called him quitting, bro. Don't tell me, like, cut it out, dog, with the Monday morning shit. Don't tell me, yeah, man, Daniel gonna quit, man. He gonna go in there and quit.
Julius, I didn't call him quitting the fight, but I'm talking about at the point of the fight when he did go down and decided not to get up. I wasn't surprised. Like, after watching the fight, no. If somebody told me before the fight, Daniel was gonna quit, I'd be like, nah, I don't know if he can quit. But after watching the fight, watching those 10 rounds, watching how it went down, looking at fucking almost swollen out of his face, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised at all that he was doing. It was no shock to me that he was doing.
No. This is what I'm gonna say to all you angry, ungracious winners. Fucking gracious. All right? What the fuck I'm gonna say? A lot of cats is acting mad. And I noticed this because I keep seeing this on my shit. Like I've said from the beginning, right? It's a 50-50 fight. Pick who you like. So stop fucking telling me about how the bookies had it. I'm not the bookies. I said it's a 50-50 fight. on one end. Maybe Joe outlasts him. He has better cardio. He has fought better journeymen than Daniel has. Didn't I fucking say that? Before COVID shut us down.
This was never no 50-50 fight, bro. This was never no 50-50 fight.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think it was a 50-50 fight, bro. I think it was.
50-50 fight.
No, it was not a 50-50 fight. No,
I couldn't pick. I couldn't pick going into this.
Whatever, man. It wasn't a 50-50 fight to me before this fight because Frank
fucking ungracious. Fucking ungracious. That's what. If Friday night I would have got Usain motherfuckers on live. If I would have got y'all on, yo, it's a 50-50 fight. Hey, but
I put my prediction up there. I put my prediction video up.
But you didn't think it was a 50-50 fight. You thought it was like
they lying, bro. They thought it was a 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
Like I ain't mad if you, like, bro, listen, Jay. I'm not mad if you pick Joe. I'm not mad if, like, credit to you, Beats. You seen that shit because you was never convinced of Daniel. But admittedly, you had Gorman winning them. So cut the shit. Cut the shit.
No chance. No. Listen, I put the video up there, man. I didn't listen. I got it there. I never thought Daniel could beat Joe Joyce. Never.
I'm not. No. I said you have never been convinced of Daniel Dubois, right? Am I right? Am I right there? Never. And didn't you? It was either you or Mark that picked Nathan Gorman.
I didn't pick Gorman.
You didn't pick Gorman.
That was Mark. That was Mark. I can adjudicate on that. Mark allegiances.
We breaking out the receipts, guys.
Mark admitted he was biased on that pick. He was a very,
that's all I'm saying. That, like, if I would have asked these guys, yo, how do you see the fight? 50-50 fight, 60-40, 70-30. How do you see the fight? You like, what did you see it as? In your video, when you described this fight, if you was gonna call it by odds, you saw it as a 70-30?
I picked 10 rounds. I said Joe's gonna close the show in 10. In the video, I said I'm tempted to say he could win in 3 rounds.
I don't understand how I seen it as a 50-50 fight when I was totally convinced that Joe Joyce would take him out. He was going to take him out, bro. Like I was telling you.
Who got out the gates quicker, though, D? Who got out the gates quicker, though?
Hold on for a second. Before the fight, I said Frank Warren has never put this kid in a fight to face any type of adversity. I think the first time he got in there with a guy that could take him out, which was Kevin Johnson, right? He couldn't close the show. I said Joe Joyce is going to do more offensively than Kevin Johnson did. No way Dubois wins this fight. So if I'm saying no way Dubois wins this fight, how the fuck do I see it as 50-50? And whoever the fuck just called me a liar, how the fuck am I a liar? When I didn't see no way for Daniel Dubois to win that fight. How is that a lie?
Hold on. See, Boardroom Bully trying to be a prick and a coward at the same time. First off, I hate guys like this because I'll post a link there like, yo, come on and talk to me so I can tell you how many predictions I got right and why I got wrong. Come on here. Let me do this real quick and then I'm going to pass it to you, Ronald. Come on here. Stop being a chicken shit. Click the link and come on here so I can run down an itemized list of predictions that Dwyer got wrong that I got right. But the one time I'm wrong, right? If I'm wrong, because I'll be wrong and I'm cool with it. But if I be wrong, why you got to be an asshole about it? Why you got to be an asshole about it? You know Dwyer picked Klitschko to beat Anthony Joshua. You know that, right? Why don't you talk about that? Talk about it. Like if you want me to be an asshole, if you want me to be petty, I'll be petty. Go ahead, click the link so I can be petty. Now go ahead, Ronald.
Yo, it was a great fight, yo. I liked it the way Dubois got out the gate. I felt like he had great energy, and then all of a sudden, you know, he just dropped the ball a little bit. He need better conditioning or something, yo, because he was too confident. I was really going with him too. Like I was with Dubois on this fight. And he showed up at the beginning, but then he just dropped the ball a lot, and then he let his defense go away. I ain't see no defense at all.
He never had defense, Ronald. He never had defense to go away, fam. That dude's never been defensively responsible. So
he was being offensively, though. He was bringing it to him.
Now, Ronald, you see where I'm coming from? That I'm like, if I go off of what D and Beats is saying, I'm gonna go into the fight thinking that it was one-sided. And yo, dog, listen, it wasn't one-sided, bro.
No,
All right.
it wasn't
And
one-sided.
No, it was a competitive fight.
It was one-sided.
There you go. There you go. There you go. The proof is in.
Yo, I was just in shock when I see him take the knee, yo. I was like, damn, he took the knee, yo. I was like, damn. But I can respect that because if you got an injury like that and you that young, why not live to fight another day? You see what I'm saying? Like, I respected what he did because he showed up to fight. You know.
If I go back and I'm listening to everybody recap of the shit, right? Nobody want to talk, and I'm not salty. It's fun, bro. It's fun getting it wrong. If I was wait, let me preface my shit. If it was so easy to be right all the time, it wouldn't be no fun. It's fun. Sometimes you're gonna get it wrong. I'm cool with that. All right. I lost some money to Beats, but I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna tell you something. You didn't have to find me, did you, Beats? I found you.
He honored this. He honored this.
I found you. That's
yo,
how
I was so
am.
confident in the Dubois, I couldn't even get a bet. Yo, I was lucky I didn't. Yo. I lost like $300. I was trying to bet everybody on this fight. Yo, I had the Dubois, yo. I had the Dubois hard, yo.
Bro, now Anthony Crooks want to be a troll. Yo, when I said Dubois got robbed, who took that seriously? Who took that? If I'm sitting here saying he got robbed and Joe had eggshells in his glove, you telling me that you believe me? Like you just must be fucking all kinds of goddamn stupid. You would have to be like.
Because Dubois had moments. So I ain't
Jay,
great.
I should have took that bet off you then.
Now, if you
yo, Beats, I'm gonna put a Dominican curse on all your predictions from now on. I caught my great aunt in the Dominican Republic. We're gonna put a hex on you. We'll put a fucking hex on you, bro. That from now on, whenever me and you pick opposite, I'm gonna win. That's what's gonna happen.
I tell you what, man. Right? I've got my mojo back, man, because I'm not scared of sounding stupid when I make my prediction. I'm just gonna go with my gut and my heart. I'm gonna pick the stoppage. I'm gonna pick decision, and I'm not gonna give 2 million scenarios to try and cover my back. I'm just gonna predict it how I think it's going. And if I can't make head or tail of it, then I won't make a prediction.
Hey, Beats. Remember that shit you said earlier about winning a battle and winning a war? You won fucking battle, right? You ain't gonna win the fucking war, Beats.
Yeah, wins and losses. Predicting the round is hard, bro.
All right, so what's the next fight, bro? What's the next fight?
Well, I'm saying everybody got Joshua beating the holy shit out of Pulev. I don't see nobody picking Pulev unless it's like an LDBC channel, and I don't even think they picking Pulev. So
I'm gonna just pick AJ for the win. I'm not gonna get over flamboyant with it. I'm gonna just pick him for the win.
Yeah.
Lyndon Arthur fighting Anthony Yard next week.
Yo, I gotta get a look at Lyndon because I've been hearing Anthony in for a hard ass fight, and I haven't seen Lyndon in action, so I gotta look at that kid this week. All I keep hearing is that you're like, yo, this ain't gonna be no easy fight.
Beats, who you got in Ioka versus Tanaka?
I need to do some study, B.
Oh, okay, because that might be one that you and Julius could go after because you got Tanaka.
I'm not saying Julius on that. Julius will wrap me up. I ain't there for him on that.
We got Campbell Garcia coming up, but I'm leaning towards Garcia. I don't know how he's gonna do it. But
hey, what you were picking Campbell before though?
No, I wasn't. I said I don't. All I said when it comes to Garcia and Campbell is he never been in here with somebody like this before, right? So if he wins, I just don't know what he's gonna do to win. I don't know. He's a big kid. He's a southpaw. He's an Olympian. He won a gold medal. Ryan, I ain't never seen you with nobody like this. So you must be about to show me that you never told me before because I never seen you with nobody like this. And all of those videos are still up.
That's a great fight to start 2021. Yo, that's a great fight. I can't wait for that.
Let me ask you a question. What had you so convinced that Daniel could be an Olympic finalist who arguably won the final, who's beat the likes of Golovkin, competed in the World Series of Boxing, and gave Usyk a good run? He defeated Ian Lewison, a good fighter.
Let me tell you one motherfucking thing. Right? First off, what raced through my mind in this fight, I kept going back to the Usyk fight, that it was speed that beat Joe. It was speed. And there's something that I should have thought of that I didn't. But in hindsight, that's how you learn. That you got to learn. But, you know, the World Series of boxing, those was only, what, 3-4 rounders?
Five rounders.
Right? 5 rounders. That fight kept playing in my mind. They're like, yo, you know Usyk really don't hit that hard. But he beat Joe with activity, and he beat him with speed. And then I thought about the Stavern fight, and I'm like, yo, dog, what the fuck is taking you so long to wrap up a main Stavern? Like, bro, this shit went into the 6th round, I think it did. Like, bro, I didn't like that shit. Then I thought about the Brian Jennings fight. Jennings is a good mover, good stick and move guy, but he can't punch. But he's a good stick and move guy. I remember he was getting off some nice little right hands to Joe up top, and he was touching him a little bit downstairs. Joe didn't look like he liked it. So when I thought about this fight, I'm like, you know what? Daniel got speed and he got heavier hands than these guys, even though he don't got the experience these guys got. But he got speed and he got power. So if he go in there busy, maybe he could blast this guy out of there. Because it ain't like Joe fought a whole bunch of big punches himself. He hasn't. None of them guys that he fought was big punches.
Let me ask you bring one more question. Just sorry about this. Who would you pick? Let's say pre-Dubois Joyce. If they were to match Brian Jennings with Dubois, you pick Dubois to beat Jennings?
Yes, because of Oscar Rivas, because of because of the Oscar Rivas. I didn't like that shit. And the Klitschko fight, he turned it on late. I didn't like that shit. That means that if this guy lasts, there's a chance he could get you late.
Jay, I'm just going to say, listen, I've got Campbell to win this next fight, but thanks for having me on. Have a good evening.
You picking Campbell?
Yes,
100%,
bring out you. I'm gonna get off. Give me a number from 1 to 300, and I'm gonna get off the chat. Thanks for having me on.
I dig it.
I like to do worldly arts of worldly wisdom. So if you give me a number from 300, I'll just put it in the chat. I'm not gonna stay on and read it, but I like to do that. 1 to 300.
Yeah, I've got Campbell.
Like
definitely.
Beats. I think, and this I'm gonna say this, Beats, and you're not gonna like this.
You ain't give him a number, Julius.
No, he wants a number.
A number. What, he got Campbell?
No,
1
to 300. Pick a number for 1 to 300.
1 to 300 from a number from 1 to 300. All right, 125th.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. Peace, guys.
Yo, appreciate it, yo. Shit, thanks. Shit.
Yes,
What the fuck was I gonna say? Beats, you don't like Daniel Dubois. You know why? Because you motherfucking know that Frank was trying to do with Dubois what Eddie did with Anthony. And that's where you don't like Daniel. Give the kid a break.
No, I'm gonna tell. I'm gonna interview. Let me tell you my problem with Dubois. My beef was never with Dubois, and my beef with him is something I've got to resolve on my time online. Well, I've got to realize there's a lot of casuals. Now, I'm not saying you, right? But there's a lot of casuals, right, who were saying, "Oh, forget Anthony Joshua. This is our guy, Dubois. He's the best prospect the UK has ever had."
I agree with you. I saw those people. I agree. I do agree. I seen them people.
And let me tell you, right? You know what they reminded me of? They reminded me of the David Price fans around 2013. Like, I remember one time, I made a post-fight video after David Price beat Matt Skelton. And all I said, "Oh, you see how the way Matt Skelton got inside David? You mean, see, that's if a Mike Tyson got there and this and that." You know what they were saying to me in reply? "Oh, as if Mike Tyson could beat David Price." That's what they were saying.
Sorry, Jay, I come out of that. Yeah, Campbell for me. I think he's got the better pedigree. I think he's going to win that one. So remember me for that one.
That's a Golden Boy card, man. Funny things happen on Golden Boy. That's a card where Campbell could win and still lose, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let me finish my point before someone jumped in. So that was my beef with Daniel Dubois, is the people who were hyping him up off highlight reels.
Beat, sorry, yeah, Jay, have a good evening. Thanks very much for having me.
No problem. Never did anything in his career. That's what done me in. You know what I mean?
Admittedly, I gotta say that, yeah, I did see those people. I did see, and this is way back. This is before the Gorman fight. I saw those fucking people. So I gotta agree with that. That yeah, they was blowing a lot of smoke up a lot of people's ass.
Well, my whole thing was Frank Warren, fam. I made a whole damn speech about this. That was my whole thing. I was like, Frank moving this kid the wrong way, man. He's moving them the wrong way. And he's going Joe Joyce is too much. I was just thinking Joe Joyce was too much for the guys that his last 3 fights were fucking Ebenezer Tete, Fujimoto, and Ricardo Schneider's, fam. Like that's not the fight that you take to get into a fight like this with Joyce, bro.
I agree to a degree. I was never critical. I was never critical of who Daniel was fighting because remember, this was his 15th pro fight. So you talking about a kid 23 years old. I expect them to move him a certain way because he not no Olympian. He not an Olympian. So I'm expecting that. And I'm not going to talk a lot of shit. If he was 23 or 26-0, then you're going to see me talk shit like, bro, you had enough fucking fights, bro. You had enough fights. But if you're 15-0 or 14-0, I ain't going to talk shit. I ain't going to say that.
Here's the thing. When he started doing the clout chase, calling out Anthony Joshua, he called out Wilder, right? He said he's ready to fight Usyk for the belt. Usyk would have beat his ass. And what the choice? Because Usyk has a straight right. He would have whooped Dubois.
I mean, I did a video. I did a video on that. That they're like, yo, Frank started getting real fucking froggy. He's got the kid calling out Usyk, and I said, when it came to that fight, I was like, yeah, he ain't ready for that fucking fight. Y'all talking shit. He ain't ready for that fucking fight. Like, nah.
What Frank's done though is terrible because he hasn't had enough money to give Daniel the right kind of incremental learning fights. And he's put him in with Joe because it's an in-house fight, and Frank can afford to pay people from outside to come in and fight Daniel.
No, but that's
created this whole situation. That's what I see has happened here. I don't think. Huh?
No, that's the thing, John. Right? His trainer was saying Frank gave them a bucket load of money last year so they could bring sparring partners in to stay over and fly in top quality spot. So he's had the money, but he just chose to feed him bums because it's cheap and it fills out the BT cards. That's what he's done.
Yeah, I mean, really? Yeah, they was look. If you got the money, if you got the money to get Joe Joyce, Brian Jennings, Bermain Stavern, then you got the money to get Daniel somebody better. Like you could have got Daniel out of Spelka. You could have got him that guy.
Yeah, Mariah Bach or something like that.
Fujimoto, he's been moved so horribly. I thought it's because he couldn't get the opponents for him.
He had the money, man. He had the money. I didn't want to be one of them guys because I see that, and every time I see that, I get annoyed. That they'll see a kid that's like, look, they said that about Shakur Stevenson, and I got annoyed. Like, bro, he doesn't even have fucking 20 fights. Who the fuck do you want him to fight?
Yeah. It's not about him fighting stiff. It's about him being given different looks to look at.
Or
increasing the opposition gradually.
Yeah,
he didn't do that, and then got to him with Joe Joyce, which was not a good idea. It's like your first 15 fights, fight people you should beat, but at least have variation in there. Not complete this like Tete and Fujimoto. And,
look,
what's he gonna get out of that?
Lordy. He fought Lordy. God damn it.
Yeah, Ring, I think you made the point before that with Tony Yoka, for example, and giving him credit because he was taking on easing into guys like Dubois and Hammer. It's like they didn't just throw him to the wolves immediately. It's like they kind of they threw Dubois in there with those tomato cans, rather and too many of them. But they should have perhaps eased him in instead of going right after Joyce.
Christian Hammer might have knocked Dubois out. I'm not even joking, bro.
No, Beats, you not off base. You understand what I'm saying? But don't you notice that like Ennis is a guy I give shit though. Ennis is the guy I give shit. And it's because in your same division we got Ortiz. In your division we got Ortiz, and Ortiz fought Brad Solomon. He fought Javier Orozco. He fought the Maestro. He fought Samuel Vargas. And the guys you fighting, right? You got more fights than him. You got more fights than him. You the same age as him, if not older. So I'm gonna look at you like, yo, what the fuck are you doing, bro? But Dubois, yo, you like what? 14-0, 15-0. No real Olympic pedigree whatsoever. You don't even come from that, right? So I wasn't critical of who he was fighting because I'm like, yo, dog, the kid is 14, 15 and 0, 23 years old, no amateur background. Who the fuck are they gonna put him? Who am I expecting them to put him in there with? Of course they're gonna put him in there with Lotties and Fujimotos. Of course.
Yes. If you're gonna do that, don't start clout chasing because then people expect you to go tackle the big dog.
Yeah.
Okay, but look, how do you go from Latte to Ebenezer Tete to Fujimoto to Snyder's? You're supposed to go uphill, man.
Exactly.
Like hold on, guys, hold on. This is the thing that I said was my whole perspective with how Frank was moving in. I understand what you're saying, Julius. He's not gonna get marquee fighters or guys that's known and shit right out the gate. I get that, but you don't go from a Latte and go downhill. And the fact that he went from a Latte, like even with Kevin Johnson, he went from Kevin Johnson, went downhill. Then he gave him a Latte, and then he went downhill again.
Good point by D. Good point.
Hold on, can I just say quickly, the Joe Joyce, the Jermaine Stavern fight wasn't Frank. That was when he was with PBC. So Frank has only actually given him one person, literally, and that's the Bryant Jennings fight.
All right, but you'll agree that if you have it in the budget to get a guy like Bryant Jennings, the Dubois people must have it in the budget to get a goddamn Spilker.
Damn right.
Because you more invested in Daniel than you was in Joe. So if you got
Very
money
true.
to get in Bryant Jennings, of course you got money to get him
Having said that though, remember, because we don't actually, number one, we don't know how much he paid Brian Jennings for that fight, because maybe Brian just took it because he was trying to get his way back in. Also, that was on the Gorman card, which I swear they did it as a pay-per-view, or they wanted to do as a pay-per-view. So he must have lost money on that and then realized he can't afford to go up any further than this.
So you saying we should play Franco Violent because he can't?
No. What I'm saying is, chances are that's the reason why Daniel ain't been in there with no one decent, because Frank just can't pay anybody, and probably the money he gave him was probably some kind of maybe it was like a retainer that he was supposed to have recouped and he ain't recouped it. So
look, man, fuck Joe Joyce. And fuck
By the way, Julius, I never said it was a 50-50. I always said that Joyce was gonna win that fight.
Hey, let me ask you a question right quick. So let's just assume, or let's just pretend that we all thought it was a 50-50 fight going in, right? Let me ask y'all this question. If you look at that two guys and it's supposed to be a 50-50 fight going in, which would you be more comfortable with? A guy that fights fucking Brian Jennings and Michael Wallace, or Fujimoto and Ricardo Schneiders?
Fujimoto and Ricardo Schneiders, bro. That shit is a winning strategy.
Listen, man. Listen. The jig was up when Frank Warren effed over that Pfeiffer's medical report, bro. The jig was up, bro. He knew Daniel was on the slippery slope. You see, there was you know when I decided to make a prediction video on Joyce versus Dubois was after I saw Wardley versus Latte. And it's not because he knocked him out in two. I said, man, Wardley looks way more composed than Daniel. And Daniel's supposed to be the big prospect. I said, this Daniel's losing.
I just want to say the only reason I think you can give to Daniel Dubois as to why he possibly could have had a chance in that fight is because he was the more active fighter who was fighting a lot more regularly. Joe was being a bit more sparse, and obviously he's a timing guy.
Listen,
so
man,
the older he gets, his timing might slip.
It's fucking confession time, right? It's like D. Jefferson and Teofimo, right? I love D. He's a great guy, right? But when it comes to Teofimo, he fucking likes that guy, and I fucking know that, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to motherfucking Beats and Daniel, I would have to be like, yo, Beats don't like Daniel, man. I can't listen to him, man. You don't like that
I don't rate him as a boxer. I don't rate him as a boxer, brother. That's what it is. You know what I mean? Like for the expectation, and what it is, for the expectations that Frank and a lot of his fans have, he's nowhere near them expectations. Nowhere near it.
I dig it. But can I say that All right, like Anthony Yard. I remember I watched a couple of your videos on Yard. I agreed with most of what you said about Anthony. You know what I mean? But I got the impression that you didn't like that cat.
No, I love Anthony. Listen, he lives around the ends, bro. I love Anthony Yard. But he's not like certain things, he's just not doing the right way.
Julius.
Anthony Yard's problem is Tanya Ajayi. Fucking
Julius, if you listen to Beats' live with Daniel against Latte, Beats is sporting Daniel, and he got into the fight. So it's not that he dislikes it. I don't think that's true.
All I'm saying is that was the impression that I got. Just like, look, if I ask motherfucking Lennox about AJ, I know he real big on AJ. If I ask motherfucking D about Lopez, I know he real big on Lopez. Now Beats, he don't really like nobody. Like he pretty even. Like, so it ain't about being too in favor of someone. But with Beats, it's like, yo, it sounds like he really don't like. Like, if I ask Beats about Golovkin, I ain't gonna ask Beats about Golovkin. He don't like that motherfucker, man. You don't like that guy, man. Like,
yeah, but there's consistency there. If someone's overhyped, though, I don't think Beats likes him.
I like Golovkin's perspective, but the hype that he's better than Hagler, better than Greb, better than Monzon, better than I can't deal with that, bro.
I ain't gonna lie, I couldn't deal. And I've said it many times since 2015. That shit, and the videos are still there. For anybody that don't believe me, just go to the oldest tab and hit them. They there, all right? They're like, yo, yeah, that all that Hagler Hopkins record, like, no, bro, nah. He's good for here today, but he ain't fucking with them guys.
Yep, that's just how I see it.
I think he's a Hall of Famer, but he's not an all-time great.
Golovkin's a Hall of Famer. Okay.
I mean, I guess that's the best way to put that. Yeah, maybe he makes it into the hole, but
yeah, because if Mancini and guys like Arturo Gatti are in, then Golovkin's gonna probably go.
Yeah.
Listen, Mancini was fighting guys like Alex Sarguello when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And look, Mancini was a genuine attraction in boxing. Big crowds at Youngtown, Ohio. Boom, boom, Mancini. He was the real deal.
Now, Golovkin is doing 150,000 buys with David Lemieux, bro.
but he lost to Arguello here. So there's the thing. Who did he beat though? Who did he beat now? I mean, he beat some decent guys. He beat some decent guys, but I mean,
you're not getting it. He took Arguello on when he was a kid. He didn't need to.
No,
you're not getting it. He challenged himself.
Okay, but so you can say that with a lot of guys. You know, I mean, like
no, guys. We're talking about Golovkin. When did he challenge?
Well, that's Golovkin though. I mean, but still, I mean, if Ray Mancini's in the Hall of Fame, I'm arguing Triple G is going to the Hall of Fame, man.
Triple G will probably go to the Hall of Fame because guys that have done less went to the Hall of Fame. But
exactly.
My thing with Triple G, and I agree with Beats, man. You gotta challenge yourself. A lot of Triple G fans get upset when people make statements like that, but come on, dog. You gotta challenge yourself. Like,
yeah, and that's what I was thinking recently, because if he beats Zermata, he has to go up now. If he beats Zermata, the assumption is he will. He should be better get on the phone and start calling up the Andrades or the Billy Joe
He's
Sanders.
not, listen, bro. What he's gonna do, he's gonna fucking go up. Look, what's gonna happen? Let's say Canelo beats Smith. Triple G's gonna follow him up to 168. Canelo's gonna knock his ass out, probably, and that's how he retires.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that's gonna happen.
Because he better not take another Steve Rolls or something.
Ray Mancini, so you can say what you want. I was watching Ray Mancini, right? You can say what you want. Ray Mancini had a genuine fan base that wanted to see him fight. Not no manufactured shit with Jim Kellerman and whoever.
Hey, bro, you're talking to an Italian here. You're talking to an Italian here, bro. Okay, I like Ray Mancini, but you're telling me one fight of his now. I mean, I understand, and I love the guy. I'm just saying, I was just throwing that name out there for the Hall of Fame comparison. That's the only reason.
Right, look, with Triple G, right? With Triple G, and I
want you to forget that game.
Yeah. For context, whenever I think of Triple G and that, I was always talking about the all-time great conversation. That is he an all-time great middleweight, and I don't see it, bro.
He's not. Yeah,
I don't see it. All right, it don't make sense. You were all-time great for Daniel Jacobs and David Lemieux in a controversial decision with no.
Don't forget Martin Murray. Because I talked to
he beat Martin Murray. I gotta call my grandmother. He beat Martin Murray. Oh my God. He beat Daniel Hill. Let me call
Gabe as well, though. Let's not forget him as well.
I'm telling this guy now, right? Mancini beat better names than Triple G did. I'm telling you that now.
I don't think we can argue that. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like nah. Because Triple G is a good contemporary fighter. Was he the most dominant force in his division at the time? Yes, but also that didn't last long. Like that wasn't like a fucking era that Triple G ruling the shit.
Triple J ain't beat no one as good as Jose Luis Ramirez.
Let me tell you one fucking thing. Triple G never beat anybody as good as Alexander Povetkin. When I think of an era, then I'm like, yo, that motherfucker was the shit. That's Klitschko. All right?
Yeah. Klitschko was
Klitschko. Because he beat good guys.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think that Triple G beat anybody decisively like a Povetkin. Yeah. I would not say that. Like, bro, who you Gil, Murray, Macklin, Monroe, fucking who's the short guy from Brooklyn?
What was his name? Rubio. Rubio was another one. He knocked out Lemieux, I believe. Rubio was in a bad one.
What was it? Steve? What was the fucking Curtis Stevens? It's like, yo, this is not like a resume that it's just not, bro. Like, oh my God, he beat Willie Monroe. Let me call my mother. Willie Monroe. Oh shit.
Mancini's fights were way better as well. If we're going to talk about excitement, because that's what they try to do, right? Mancini's fights were way more exciting.
They both ironically had the same kind of styles of the infighter, like Mancini and Golovkin. But
Golovkin fights nothing like Ray Mancini. You're crazy.
What?
Golovkin fights nothing like Ray Mancini, bro.
He's not an infighter? You don't think he's an infighter?
He's not. No. Golovkin. I'm gonna say that right now. Golovkin's not an infighter. He's mid-range to outside. He's not an infighter. He's not fighting like no.
They don't fight not like Ray Mancini, bro. Hell no.
Nah. He ain't a pocket. He's not really like a in the phone booth. He ain't one of those. He needs space. He needs space to generate power. You need that. Go ahead.
Nowhere near the same. But listen, I like Triple G in context, but outside that.
Bro, listen, in 2015, I saw people saying that Triple G would be fucking Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
All right? I saw people, and on Ring IQ Facebook is still there. I haven't been in that group in a while because I stopped with the groups because I got tired of seeing dumb shit. But it was arguments I had like, yes, James Toney would have beat this man. Yes, James would have beat him. No fucking way. Triple G's good for this era, but I don't see him in that top 20.
He's not.
I had a guy tell me that he would beat the hell out of Hagler, bro.
No, nobody can beat the hell out of Hagler.
I'm telling you now, there is a guy, and he has a fucking channel, and a lot of people know his name starts with a P. I'll leave it at that. But this motherfucker says that he beats Hagler, and I'm like, okay, then, whatever.
Fuck out of here, man. Fuck out. It's a lot of shit. The bottom line is, fuck Joe Joyce, and that's the bottom line. And you need to sign to Eddie Hearn because Frank wants you to give Daniel another chance. All right. If you want to start making money, you and Sam need to get over there to Eddie. That's what you need to do because that's where the fights are. I want Joe Joyce versus Martin Bacall.
I want Joe Joyce versus Lee Ferguson.
It's a good fight.
If it's those two guys in a time machine, I go Prime Hagler versus Prime Hopkins, and I go Prime Hagler.
They're good fights, man. They're good fights. Some good matchups. Maybe Triple G could hack, but to me, he just never really takes. I think I think Jacobs had a shout on the scorecards, but a lot of people don't agree. That's fair enough. You know what I mean?
It's more like, yo, look, like Hagler has, if you don't remember nothing about Hagler, right? If you don't remember nothing, like you didn't follow him or whatever it was, he always gonna have that Tommy Hearns fight. Golovkin don't have that. He don't have it.
Even before he held a belt, he was in the Philly circuit beating world-ranked guys like Cyclone Hawk, Boogaloo Watts, Willie the Worm Monroe. That's Willie's uncle. He was doing all that good stuff there. You know what I mean?
Briscoe he beat also. Briscoe, yeah.
Benny Bristow. So the resume speaks for itself. Come to London, won the title against Minter.
Yep.
Listen, Timothy. Frank Warren can't give anybody. Frank Warren can't give Frank Warren a side promotion, bro. Much less Joe Joyce. He can't. Joe gotta go, man. Like, yo, you need to go to where the action is. The action is at Matchroom. So that's where you need to go.
Yep.
What the hell? You beat his Golden Goose. Ask yourself a question. What other fights? Like, I think Tony Yoka call him out, and I know that Frank and Bobby's buddies. Be real. They're not gonna make that fight, man. They're not gonna make that fight. Like they're not gonna make that. So go to Eddie and see if he could get you an Alan Bobbitt or Martin Bacole or somebody, and you could come up right.
Say hi to those two right there. I appreciate that.
Listen, I'm out of here, man. Big up the juggernaut. Rematch Dubois. Dubois will take another loss. Out.
Fuck Joe Joyce. Fuck this live. I'm out.
All right, Jay.